I can hear you breathing. Welcome to the Out There channel, live stream 264. Looks like we got some niggles. My preview window's not working. Reckons we got 10 concurrent users now.
No,
let me just reset some things again. Yeah. This is why we need a long intro. CPU maxing out here. Oh god, what's going on? Oh, it's working now. No. Alright, no. Let's get rid of those for the time being. We do a few tweaks probably. It's running like a dog's breakfast.
Yeah.
Hang on. Oh, that's just rubbish. Alright, now it's coming up. God, why can't Google just leave it alone? We had it working perfect at one stage. Sorry guys. Good to be back. This is why we have a long intro, so we can check out things. CPU, we need more CPUs now. Unfortunately, I'll never get there because I'm no secure team. Whereabouts are we? Are we dropped back to the desktop? Yeah, we have. Okay. Hang on, I can hear my echo. What's Robert doing?
It's okay. It's all good.
I'm not sure if the counter's working. Let me just check things. Oh no, it looks like it's all screwed up too. Hang on, it looks like I'm going to put those back. Hang on. Get rid of that for the time being. Here we are, pushing it a bit today. What's going on there? Okay, that's looking a bit better. Yeah, we'll see how we go. The CPU's jumping between 80 and 100% for some reason. God knows why. But I think we're almost ready to go. So, what are we doing today, Robert? We better check your volume.
What do you mean, what we're doing today?
Does he sound alright out there, guys? What UFO cases are we doing?
What is it? Is it my turn?
You're live, mate. You're live. Come on.
I'm only joking. I'm only kidding.
Could someone go and slap him in UK there? Give him a slap.
Okay. The Stanford, Kentucky Abductions, 1976. And I tell you what, you know, if I was pushed into a court of law and I was limited to one abduction case to prove that abductions was real, it's going to be this one, because it's just got everything. But anyway, it's up to the listener to decide.
Right.
Yeah, it was Mona Stafford was the main witness. It was her 36th birthday, which didn't turn out too well. Yeah, the other two that were with her, Louis Smith, Elaine Thomas, and then moving on to David Huggins, who lost his virginity to an ET at 17 years of age, and that was in Georgia, 1961. And if we have time, we can look at the Ota AFB UFO Incident, which was over
I thought you
Portugal.
might have included that Australian guy that thought he collected a hair from an alien, because I've looked at that case before and it's a wee bit suspect, even though he did pass the lie detector test. His story is a wee bit crazy. Anyway, apparently he bit the nipple off, didn't he, that one? And of course he didn't collect the nipple, which would have been perfect DNA, right? But he collected a hair instead. So I don't know.
Okay. Well.
Yeah, so we better post up the first link there. And the first place is going to Stanford, Kentucky. So it says here, well, we'll just check out the reader. Let's look at the first settlement in Kentucky. So obviously it's going to be spooky, full of paranormal by the sounds of it. But we'll just do a test run on it. Hang on.
Lots of strange things happening.
Stanford is a home rule class city in Lincoln County, Kentucky, United States. It is one of the oldest settlements in Kentucky, having been founded in 1775. Its population was 3,487 at the 2010 census, 2, and an estimated 3,686 in 2018. 1. It is the county seat of Lincoln County. 3. Stanford is part of the Danville Micropolitan Statistical Area.
So there's not many people living there. Very small town.
No, it's beautiful. It's farmland. It's an ideal place for something
paranormal or UFO to happen.
Yeah.
So Kentucky, that's where Shelley comes from.
It sure is.
And it's just
I'm talking Shelley might put me up one day. There's so much happening there.
She was on Discord earlier. I'm not sure where she went to.
Maybe she can put me up for a week on, but I'm not leaving until I find something unusual. So, up to her.
So, let's just do a few checks here anyway. Looks like it's going alright. I've not heard any weirdness. So yeah, you can see here it's definitely rural. Look at all the green around. Smack in the middle of nowhere, really. Historic. It's got the museum there as well. Let's just zoom into the city and see what we can see there. It's very slow, isn't it? Yep, look at the open paddocks, perfect for UFO landings and abductions. Look at that, another big chunk here. Cornfields, paddocks for cattle, I guess. And not too many settlements there. It's pretty spread. Looks a wee bit like where I live, actually. Looks very much the same sort of layout. So, bring up the UFO case, and now we know where we're going. Now we've got a big storm here, so hopefully that doesn't cause a problem with us. But we have got backup power supply in the house that will last, hopefully, long enough.
You always have an excuse for your tech problems.
Well, if I lose power, the first thing will be the internet to go, because
okay.
Of course, this UPS is now starting to get a wee bit old. You have to change the batteries pretty much every damn 3 years at maximum. So this is the right one. 1976 in Kentucky Abductions. So we've got to see if the reader works. It looks a bit big. We better scale that one down. I think everybody could read that with that size font. And whereabouts do we begin? Oh well.
Summer V would be a good start.
Okay. Let's put those damn pictures in the way. Oh, we'll just choose a chunk and see how it goes.
Okay.
Here we go.
Summary. On January 6, 1976, 3 women were abducted near Stanford, Kentucky. As they were driving together to have dinner, a bright red object appeared in the sky, which Mona Stafford at first thought was an airplane on fire. As the object descended from the right side of the road to a point ahead of them, they could see that it was not an airplane, but a huge object bigger than 2 houses. The 3 women who were abducted near Stanford, Kentucky. Left to right, Louise Smith, Elaine Thomas, Mona Stafford. Credit, Jerome Clark. January 6, 1976 was Mona Stafford's 36th birthday.
Rain's getting
To
louder.
celebrate, she and her friends Louise Smith and Elaine Thomas decided to drive 35 miles from their home in Liberty, Kentucky, to have dinner at the Redwoods restaurant between Stanford and Lancaster, Kentucky. Louise Smith was driving them in her '67 Chevy Nova. The 3 women had an enjoyable dinner together. None of them drank any alcoholic beverages with their meal. At about 11:15, the trio headed back home, expecting to be home by midnight. At Stanford, Kentucky, 9 miles from Lancaster, they turned off Highway 27 and onto Highway 78 towards Houstonville. Show map address equals Stanford, Kentucky marker equals 1 map equals hybrid zoom equals 12 scroll equals 1. Just outside Stanford, a curious thing happened. A bright red object appeared in the sky, which Mona Stafford at first thought was an airplane on fire. As the object descended from the right side of the road to a point ahead of them, they could see that it was not an airplane, but a huge object bigger than 2 houses. The object stopped about 100 yards ahead of them, stretching across the road on both sides. It rocked back and forth for a couple of seconds, and then moved off to the left.
Okay, stop it there, Paul.
They kept driving, and assumed that whatever...
Sounds quite big too.
That's the thing. When they first seen it, they thought it was an aircraft on fire. Now, that's what the human brain does. You're trying to fit it into something that's explainable to you, something that you understand, and your brain's kind of making a million calculations per second.
Any a million?
And then well, I don't know, I'm guessing. Yeah?
I'm only having you on.
Oh, I know you are. I know you are, but I have you on all the time, so it's okay. Yeah, you're trying to fit it into something that you can explain, and all of a sudden, those calculations aren't working, and you're thinking, "Oh my God, this isn't something normal." That's the bit when it gets spooky. Yeah, carry on.
Yep. I see you looking down a wee bit there, Robert. You ain't going to get a sore neck, are you?
Yeah, it's just I'm trying to read the text as it goes. That's all. I'll sit back. Go.
Yeah, you better watch your neck there.
Assumed that whatever it was had kept going. However, after they had been about a quarter of a mile, a blue light appeared through the rear window of the car. At first they thought it was a highway patrol car, with its lights flashing, but soon they realized that the flying object had circled around and had come up behind them. Suddenly, something wrested control of the car away from Louise Smith. The car accelerated even though Mrs. Smith took her foot off the accelerator, and the speedometer was soon on 85 miles per hour. Mona Stafford, in the front passenger seat, tried to help Louise regain control of the car, but it was not possible. The women began to feel a burning sensation in their eyes. The ignition lights lit up on the instrument panel, an indication that the car's engine was stalled, but they were still speeding along. They saw a wide, brightly lit road ahead of them, and then, seconds later, the scene became Highway 78, and they recognized they were on the outskirts of Houstonville, a full 8 miles from where they had just been. Checking the time, they found that,
you want to stop it after that sentence?
Incredibly, an hour and 20 minutes had passed.
Okay, so it'll be.
I remember when I first read about this case years and years ago. I wasn't completely convinced because I thought, come on, it's taking over your car. Nah. And then I came across case after case after case after case where other people had experienced this. So,
I used to be really skeptical of abductions, and then I started researching it. And then once I researched it and saw all the evidence and the amount of people saying the same thing, there's definitely something in it, and it needs to be taken seriously, as far as I'm concerned. But yeah, of course, still today they write it off as sleeping paralysis.
You're not going to get that on the wheel, are you?
No, that's right. They don't look at it properly, this thing. I bet Google's put a Wikipedia page link on us about abduction cases already on this live stream. You'll see it. Which the wiki page is totally wrong. It doesn't include any of the proper research. And it always talks about sleep paralysis, and as soon as you read that, I switch off now. I think utter BS. I used to believe that the scientists had a clue what was going on until I looked into it myself. But anyway, yeah, carry on. Didn't mean to interrupt.
What have I done to you, Paul? What have I done to you?
No, I was before you arrived. I actually did a abduction.
Yeah. Okay.
I did my abduction video, all about abductions, the real facts episode. It's about 15 minutes long, isn't it? Before I even met you, so go and check it out. It's on there. It's really good too. I put all the good stuff together, implants and everything. You want to carry on here, or say something else?
Hey, no, let's not disturb the story. It's a corker. And it's disturbing as well because it didn't end well for them, you know.
Well, the abductions does seem to be really scary because you've been taken away against your consent, right? It's not like they pop out and say...
these people were injured as well as traumatized, you know?
Yeah, they abduct you and then they say, oh, this is our reason, rather than saying, this is our reason, do you mind helping us out? You know, it's back to front, if you know what I mean. So they don't ask permission first. So let's just carry on then.
Past. They arrived at Louise Smith's trailer in Liberty at 1:25 a.m., almost an hour and a half late. They went inside to collect themselves and found that they each had a red mark like a burn on the backs of their necks, and they all had burning, irritated eyes. Louise Smith went into the bathroom and removed her watch to wash her face. She saw that the hands of her watch were spinning at a much higher than normal speed. When she splashed water on her face, she found that contact with water caused pain in her hands and face. They went next door, to the home of Mr. Lowell Lee, and told him what had happened. He had them separately sketch the object they had seen. The sketches were extremely similar, if not identical. They called the police and the local Navy office, but neither showed any interest in their story. In the days that followed, Mona Stafford had more problems with her eyes than did the other two women, and she sought medical help for severe conjunctivitis. Louise Smith's pet parakeet was now inexplicably terrified of her, and the bird died a couple of months later. Smith's car also began to develop mysterious electrical problems. The Navy office reportedly gave information about the story to the news media, and the story was soon in the newspapers. Hearing of the case, Jerry Black of MUFON set up an interview with the three women. J. Alan Hynek of UFOS and Jim and Coral Lorenzen of APRO also investigated the case. The investigators found that other individuals had independently reported sightings of a UFO in the Casey and Lincoln counties that same night. Dr. R. Leo Sprinkle of the University of Wyoming heard of the case and flew in, and on March 7, 1976, he performed a preliminary hypnotic regression of the women.
Okay, stop it there.
In July of 19...
Old Sprinkle, he's meant to be really good in the UFO field, from what I've heard.
Exactly, and they were lucky to get him. Because you don't want some charlatan.
No. That's right.
That could have been a dangerous situation. And every time he performed the hypnosis regression, there was independent witnesses there, you know.
Yep.
So he didn't make anything up.
No.
In a nutshell.
There's a lot of people clued up PhDs in this case.
Yeah. It was well investigated, and it's, in my opinion, it's almost kind of as rock solid as you'll get with any abduction case.
I didn't see any drawings there for that statement, though. They didn't include it in the document here. They got them to draw the UFO separately, which is a good thing.
So I'll tell you, you can find some on the Black Vault of the drawings that were done.
Oh, well, someone can go out there and search it, so I don't have to muck around. We'll just carry on, shall we?
Yeah.
Of 1976, Lexington Police Department Detective James Young separately gave the 3 women lie detector tests regarding their experience. They all passed with no problems. Later that evening and continuing into the next day, extensive hypnotic regression of the women was performed by R. Leo Sprinkle. These sessions were similar to the story of Betty and Barney Hill, in that they revealed that during the period of missing time the 3 women were taken on board the object they had seen. While there they were medically examined by shadowy beings that they later identified as being similar to depictions of aliens. Full report. Preface. The authenticity of UFO cases is usually judged by the respectability of its reporters, especially those dealing with abductions. That being the case, the report of an extraordinary series of events from 3 women from Stanford, Kentucky is highly regarded. It would be on January 6, 1976 that Mona Stafford, Louise Smith, and Elaine Thomas would have a terrifying experience of the first kind. The added strength of a well-conducted investigation make this one of the most quoted events in UFO annals worldwide. This report would include not only abduction, but other validating sightings, physical evidence, animal reaction, and electromagnetic effects. Not only was this case fully reported and researched, it was followed up on determining the long-range effects on the health and lives of these 3 well-regarded women. January 6th was Mona Stafford's 36th birthday. She was joined by her best friends Louise Smith and Elaine Thomas to celebrate the event, and just have a friendly dinner together. The 3 good friends took their dinner plans to the Redwood Restaurant, which was located south of Lancaster, Kentucky, on US 27, 35 miles from their hometown of Liberty. As the 3 finished their dinner, they started what they thought would be a nice, pleasant drive back to their houses. Little did they know what lay in store for them in what would be a night they could never forget. As they began journey, it was 38 degrees, with a south wind of 15 miles per hour, and a visibility of 15 miles. The UFO. Leaving the Redwood Eatery at 11:15, the 3 women were in a jovial mood as Louise Smith sat behind the wheel of her 1967 Chevy Nova. It should be noted that none of the 3 had any beer or liquor to drink that night. Leaving Stanford and heading for Houstonville on Highway 78, the 3 suddenly see a bright, red object in the clear, night sky. The sighting frightened Mona, who thought it was an airplane on fire, and heading for a crash landing. As the glowing object came closer, Smith lost control of the automobile. The little Chevy was now going 85 miles per hour, a speed never traveled before by Smith. In a panic, she cries, "I can't hold the car on the road." Mona reaches over and tries to help her, thinking that something is wrong with the steering, but she cannot control it either. The car continued its high rate of speed without deviation.
This is a strange
Later,
one.
Louise would state, "My foot wasn't even on the gas pedal." In a moment, the unknown object was frighteningly close to the Chevy. It followed from behind for a short time, then flipped on its end, coming extremely close to the driver's side.
It's strange that they're sort of being attracted to the UFO and increasing in speed and got no control of the car. I've not heard of that before in abduction cases.
Yeah, I've heard of about. Well, this is it. This is why when I originally came across this case, I don't know, in a book about 20 years ago, and kind of dismissed it. I was wrong. I was completely out of order.
Well, you got 3 witnesses here.
Yep.
Which makes it really credible.
No, Paul, it's more than that. They were credible. Their backgrounds were checked out. It's not just that. There was 4 independent witnesses from 4 different locations that seen the UFO.
Right.
In the same location at the same time.
Yeah.
Approx. Same time.
And a red UFO, very similar to what Shelley saw in Kentucky as well, by the sounds of it.
Oh dear.
Wonder if it's the same group of aliens. Okay, we'll just carry on.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
Side. All 3 women would later recall the same thing. What they were looking at was an enormous, metallic, disc-shaped object with a dome on top, and a ring of red lights around its midsection. The women all saw it close enough to see a yellow, blinking light on its underbelly. The UFO hung over the driver's side of the car for a time before it moved ahead of it on the highway. As it did, a bluish-white light shot into the car, lighting up the interior of the vehicle. Later, Mrs. Smith would describe the inside of their car as being filled with a haze-like air, sort of a fog. In a second, all 3 women suffered.
Yeah.
Yeah, one of the witnesses that claimed to see this UFO, who was no relation at all to the people involved, actually seen it shoot a beam of light down. And that was investigated by APRO.
Right. And of course the fog thing is a good thing as well. The fogginess, because remember that police cop... Remember that police cop case I was talking about a couple of weeks ago on Paranormal 911? They were surrounded by fog, and out come this shadow dark creature, which sounded more like alien of anything, was surrounded by around the car. And of course they're talking about fog haze here.
Yeah, but before you go on, I don't like to use these acronyms without people knowing what they are. APRO's Aerial Phenomena Reporting Organisation. It was run, it started up in the late 50s and ran through the 60s and the early 70s. It was run by the Lawrensons, Jim and Codwell, but Codwell was the driving force behind it, and she was very good.
All right. Did they die of cancer, those ones?
What?
Was it the woman that died from cancer eventually?
I have no idea how they passed away, Paul.
I seem to remember something strange was going on there. But anyway, do you want to carry on?
The only strange thing that was going on is that the all the files that they had gathered were bought up by a shady organisation who said they were going to share all the stuff. This is after they passed away. This is after Jim and Codwell had passed away. Right. They bought up the stuff, and it's never seen the light of day since, which is highly suspicious. It was. The
organisation wasn't called MUFON by any chance, was it?
No, it wasn't. No, it was more than likely an intelligence agency.
Yeah. Yes. Makes you wonder why they want to cover it up, though. Eh?
Well, covering it up for 75 years, Paul.
Yeah, but still, they just use disinformation without buying up information, right? So obviously they wanted the information for another reason. They put out thing in the newspaper saying, it was just weather, optical illusion or whatever, like they usually do. And people just forget and move on with their lives again, But why would they want to buy up the information and not share it? There must have been something in that information that they were looking for. That's what I'm saying. Anyway, carry on.
Suffered from a burning sensation so strong that they could not open their eyes from the irritation. The last thing in the memory of Smith, Stafford, and Thomas was being backed into a pasture entrance in a crazy manner. The entry was flanked on both sides by an old stone wall. 1 hour and 20 minutes later, the three found themselves back in the little Chevy, again driving toward Liberty. They were shaken and tense with exposed areas of flesh, painful from the burns. The three frightened and scared ladies finally arrived at Mrs. Smith's home, and when they entered they noticed that the clock in the kitchen showed 1:20 a.m., confirming the trip of 35 miles had taken just over 2 hours. Normally it took about 45 minutes. They immediately went to the house of their neighbor, Lowell Lee, who confirmed the time loss. Confused as to what to do next, they called the police station. The next day, they phoned the Navy recruiting station. Neither of the two calls afforded them any aid. The Navy station did give some of the details of the event to a Lexington TV station. The story quickly reached the press and was given headline status. The investigation begins. MUFON, Mutual UFO Network. Investigator Jerry Black heard the story of the event and immediately went to work to gain more details. Black called the three women and asked for an interview, but Smith, Stafford, and Thomas were reluctant at first to relieve the event or to have strangers in their homes. After more phone calls and the offering of his sympathy and compassion for their experience, the three witnesses agreed to an interview. Also, Black invited Mrs. Peggy Schnell of Blanchester, Ohio to attend. She also had experience with these kinds of cases. Black felt that the three would feel more comfortable with a feminine presence. The first meeting was more or less an ice-breaking session, but several very important facts were revealed. Black stated that the three women were all obviously in physical pain. They all were chain-smoking, which they attributed to the experience. They had an insatiable thirst, and all claimed excessive weight loss since the event. The three women gave some details of their observations of the UFO, its structure, and its behavior.
How many times have we heard that before, eh?
What part exactly you talked about there?
Oh, the insatiable thirst, weight loss. Heard this on many reports, but a lot of those reports weren't as credible and didn't have the multiple witness type account that this one does. I think this one was just lucky, to be honest, that the right people came in at the right time and it was properly investigated.
Yep.
I think there's been many other encounters where they were equally as credible, but unfortunately they didn't have the same level of investigation.
No.
And just a little call out from my friend Gwen there. Hey Gwen, thanks for coming on, mate. And thanks to KFC as well. It went down well. I'm having the Pepsi and vodka now.
KFC always goes down well as far as I'm concerned.
Oh God, yeah. Hell yeah.
Long as they know how to cook it. Sometimes they overcook it, some of the tradies, but anyway.
Yeah, it's kind of far from my house, so like I can't really get there and then back quickly.
Really?
Like, you know, so
yeah.
But no, it's on like an industrial estate, which is about a mile and a half, 2 miles from the house. But anyway, KFC, that's another conversation.
Well, you're talking about Kentucky.
Oh my God! Oh, I didn't think of that one.
You didn't think of the synchronicity.
No.
But it's like our nearest KFC was like 20 minutes drive away, and then it's only been a new one's been built in this area now because it's building up all the time here because everyone's moving out the main city since the earthquakes, you see. So now we've got a KFC down the road, which is very tempting. But anyway, but it's damn expensive. It's, you feel like you've been robbed every time you go to KFC. But anyway, carry on.
Behavior. They also discussed some of the ill effects that they had sustained. These memories were painful to all three, as they tried to recall details in hopes that someone might be able to help them. Mrs. Thomas would state, "We live in fear of what we don't know. I'm worried about Lou and Mona. I think they're ready for a breakdown." Psychological and physical effects. Naturally, there were some psychological problems in the aftermath of their experiences. Mrs. Smith was having difficulties in performing her everyday duties as an assistant for the Casey County Extension Office.
This is very common.
Mrs. Stafford was not only suffering from an eye inflammation, she was desperate to know what happened during the missing time. The three women were assured that they would be able to undergo regressive hypnosis and uncover their missing time, therefore alleviating some, if not all, of their emotional stress. Several things were evident to the investigators at this first meeting. The three women witnesses were sincere about what they had experienced. They were suffering from the so-called beam, and there were obvious physical scars from the encounter. Smith lifted her hair up and showed a mark on the nape of her neck. It was a roundish, pinkish-gray blotch, the size of a $50. Another unusual revelation that came from this meeting was the strange reaction of Mrs. Smith's parakeet. When Smith first arrived home after her experience, instead of her usual happy greeting, she received a frightening reaction from the bird. It flew into the side of its cage and fluttered its wings in a wild display of fear. Smith proclaimed that since the first night home, her pet had not had a thing to do with her. Did the sixth sense of the parakeet acknowledge some unearthly aura from Smith? Further tests were conducted in the presence of other birds, and when other people drew near, the birds were perfectly normal, but when Mrs. Smith came close, they too panicked. Her pet died in March 1976. This uncanny reaction was not the only one to come from Smith's presence.
Okay, stop it.
The minute hand of the wristwatch that Smith...
Jesus. Here we go again. The
What's
pet
up?
thing.
All right.
The pet thing. We
Yeah,
don't
what about
survive long after. They seem to be afraid of the person who's actually had the experience. They're picking up on something that we just cannot pick up on, you know?
What similar cases have pets which don't like their owners after?
Jesus, there's a whole bunch of them.
You can't run off any names there?
Not quickly off the top of my head, no. But you've only got to look at animal response to UFO in the sky. It either goes one way or the other. They're screaming in panic, or they just go quiet. It's one of the two. They call it the odds factor. I don't know. There's something going on, and it kind of gives us a little pointer, a little clue. Or it should, if we picked up on it.
Carry on.
Yeah.
Smith War began to rapidly spin around its dial. Also, the next week after the sighting, when she touched her bedroom alarm clock, it quit working. Frustrated, she threw the clock away. Another quirky problem was noticed when Louise's car developed electrical problems. Driving to work, she was stopped by police who informed her that the signal lights were not working. The most annoying problem of all was the general ill health and weakness of the three unwilling witnesses of this extraordinary event. Because of this, investigators agreed that, at least for the time being, no other details of the event be released. Walter Andrus of MUFON and Dr. J. Allen Hynek of UFOs were both informed of the case, and both agreed to wait for details until the three women were in better condition. After the initial interviews, the investigators involved were convinced that the three women's story was disturbing, yet solid as could be. The value of this event would be historical, and though difficult, those involved had to use all of their patience to keep the dark secrets of that night to themselves, until a later time. There was no doubt in anyone's mind that these three well-respected, mature, and sane women had seen something not in our knowledge to understand, and that there was missing time that had to be explored. An abduction was on the minds of the principal investigators. Dr. Hynek was called upon to provide a professional psychiatrist to perform regressive hypnosis on the three. Unfortunately, lack of funding was a big part of the decision as to who to call upon. None of the noted doctors lived anywhere near the state of Kentucky. Dr. Bertold Swartz was contacted first, but because of his tight schedule, was not able to make the trip. Also well-respected ufologist and physician, Dr. Leo Sprinkle was considered. Sprinkle was consultant to APRO, but he was not called because he lived in Wyoming. In a stroke of good fortune, Dr. Sprinkle heard of this case and dropped everything to go to Kentucky.
Yep.
You see what a stroke of luck that was. You look at some cases, like I think maybe one of the best cases ever for alien visitation was 1957, the Leveland case, and that was so poorly investigated. You know, there were so many witnesses that were never questioned, and they were there to be questioned. They'd phoned in, so I'm sure they were willing to give their opinions, but nobody ever got to them, and that's such a shame. But this one, fortunately, survived.
Yeah, I guess America's a big country, and of course, if you ain't got many experts, especially willing to look into the UFO field, and of course, money is always a problem. To travel expensive and things like that. You can understand why things weren't investigated. The people that could afford it are the Air Force, the military, and all that, right? But they never took it seriously. All they tried to cover it up, like you said. But yeah,
well,
you think MUFON though? You think MUFON though would have like a funding thing to be able to send these people on? Because that's what
do they?
No, they don't. You think that they would?
They're only paying the people on the board. They're not even paying travelling expenses to the investigators.
No.
So you got someone like Earl, who's highly enthusiastic, who will go out and investigate. But he's paying his own expenses. It's not on, is it?
No.
It's not a working system.
No. That's what the donations should be about. It should be making it a serious investigation, right?
They've got enough money coming in, mate. I can tell you that.
Well, I don't know how much they do make, but with all this TV shows that they're getting on, the movies, you think it would be going into the MUFON database. I mean, coppers into their vault, but it's going into the people's pockets instead, from what I understand. That Chase was... what's her name, is dipping into the money there for her own personal use, right? She's on these TV shows. She's a talking head, right? I just don't like some of the people in MUFON, that's for sure, like yourself. But there are some good people there that just get pushed on the wayside.
It is, isn't it?
Yeah.
It's Jan Hazan that runs it, isn't it? Jan being a male, by the way.
Yeah. There's a few other niggles there.
Yeah, sure. But as I've said before, the trouble is it's got no competition. You know, you had NICAP at one time, you had APRO, you had other ones, KUFOS and KOS, and you know, they were all competing, so it kept everyone on their toes. But now we've just got to move on, and they can do what they like, basically. That's the situation.
I don't know how you're going to get people to donate to them, really. But with the rubbish they've been putting up on MUFON TV, some of those cases, they're saying that some of the best ones, that guy that's walking around in the dark talking to himself, it makes you wonder if they're trying to do a Tyler Klockner there and try and get all the suckers in to finance them, thinking that they've changed and improving themselves. But to me, that's backwards. It's going backwards.
Jesus, Paul, they're putting cases out they know of only.
For sure, yeah. Or easy debunked, right? Bird in the sky, or blimp, you know. It's just terrible. Anyway.
Yeah, but we need a number of cases, blah, blah, blah. Anyway, enough of MUFON. Let's carry on.
Yeah.
Kentucky. When Smith, Stafford, and Thomas were contacted about Sprinkle's desire to help them, they refused, not knowing of Sprinkle's reputation. At this time, the three women, though needing help, were still under the impression that in time their problems would pass, and to involve more and more people in the story would only prolong the agony. The three women had heard of Jim and Coral Lorenzen of APRO, and this well-respected husband and wife team were called in to try to ease the fears of the story being released nationally. A promise was made to the three ladies that the regressive hypnosis procedure and its results would not be released to any of the UFO groups for publication until a time that they felt comfortable with it. An agreement was made. A date was set for the regressive hypnosis, March 7, 1976. Regressive hypnosis. Dr. Sprinkle, Black, Schnell, and others were all present for the initial session. All of those in attendance reaffirmed their good intentions of keeping the wraps on the story until the three women authorized its release. At this time, only one of three would consent to the hypnosis, Mrs. Stafford. A silence fell across the room as Dr. Sprinkle began his methodical, professional way of easing Stafford's fear. In a slow, cautious manner, Stafford began to recall the events of her night of terror. She was able to relieve her interpretation of seeing what she thought was an airplane crashing. She was not able to go any further at this first session, as tears rolled down her cheeks and exhaustion set in. After the session, Dr. Sprinkle stated that Stafford was still in a post-hypnotic state, and that she should be questioned very carefully and cautiously. After the first hypnosis, Black continued to ask questions of Louise and Elaine. Mona moved away from the others to rest. Another interviewer began to show Stafford some drawings of aliens. The word alien had not been mentioned in the case before this time, out of respect to the three, and also to not coach in any way. Mona sat and silently looked at the pictures, and then in a dramatic fashion, she proclaimed, "This looks like the light I saw, it was shaped like that head," pointing to a specific alien. Again, Mona sat for a time, thinking about that night. Then she added to her previous statement, "Yes, I can see the face now, but it doesn't seem solid. It comes and goes. I mean, fades and reappears like in a fog. Its eyes are far apart and at the bottom, the chin, is like that drawing." At this time, she had remembered all she could, but that was more than enough. A major breakthrough had occurred. The time-lapse barrier had been breached. There was now no doubt that an abduction had taken place. Dr. Sprinkle was notified the next day of the revelations from Mona, and was sent the alien picture she identified. Her statements were logged and sent along also. There would be a lapse in the investigation at this point. Several months went by without probing any deeper into the hidden facts of the case. Investigators did keep in constant touch with the three women, albeit in a friendly fashion, careful not to push them too soon. The three were still locked in fear, their physical problems continued, and so did the weight loss. Doctors Sprinkle and Hynek, all the while, were still dealing with the problem of funds and trying to find a solution to helping the three ladies. Also, investigators were constantly being prodded for more information on the Stanford case, and as per their agreement, they refused to release any information. While others involved in the case were still trying to find solutions for the financial shortfall, it would be investigator Black who would find a solution. After lengthy discussions with the National Enquirer, he had struck an agreement with the tabloid. The Enquirer would finance a return trip for Dr. Sprinkle to complete his regressive hypnosis, and lie detector tests would be conducted.
So it took a newspaper.
If the results would verify an abduction, the Enquirer would have exclusive rights to publishing the story. Also, the three women would receive compensation.
Not their choice.
Black made the move because of concern to the health of the three women, and also to accumulate facts for the benefit of UFO research groups. Hidden facts. There was renewed optimism with the Enquirer deal, and there was hope that the hidden facts of that night would soon be uncovered. The next hypnosis session was scheduled for the Brown Motel in Liberty, Kentucky, on June 23, 1976. Newly present at this meeting was well-known UFO investigator Bob Pratt of the Enquirer. Though the reputation of the Enquirer left much to be desired, Pratt himself was regarded as an honest, sincere man. Pratt had earlier attempted to get details of the Stanford case, but was denied access because of the earlier agreement of a news blackout. The first order of business on this day would be the lie detector testing. A detective for the Lexington Police Department, James Young was hired to head the polygraph part of the session. Recognized as an expert in the field, Young began his testing of the 3 women, all done privately for each of the 3. Young was actually a great choice for the sessions, because he was a skeptic as far as UFO stories went. The tests themselves were lengthy, leaving no room for anything but a conclusive result, whether good or bad. After the tests were all completed, Young emerged from the room with an expression of utter amazement. All 3 of the women had breezed through their tests without a hint of deception. To his credit, Young was man enough to admit that his earlier prejudices were completely erased after the testing of the 3 women. Next would come Dr. Sprinkle's hypnotic session. Sprinkle would first put Mrs. Smith under the evening of the lie detector testing. The next day, all 3 would undergo regression, with each woman having 2 sessions. During the regressions, the faces of the 3 women showed the emotional turmoil they were enduring. The details of what occurred on that harrowing night came slowly, hauntingly, painfully.
Shame there's no video.
Some of the most fearful moments of their abduction were displayed by painful body contortions and movements. All of the details revealed in this article were observed by an eyewitness of the entire procedure, whose credibility is beyond question. Digging for the truth.
Well,
all of the women...
Yeah, Paul, they're not going to do that, are they? Good God, man. How can you go on the regression with a video knowing you're being filmed? That's not going to happen. You're just going to not get in that place, are you?
Maybe.
It's just that's never going to work.
Yeah, maybe. Unless you have a hidden camera. Don't tell them.
That's just plain sneaky.
Yeah,
if you do that kind of thing as a UFO investigator, Paul, you are finished, mate, and you should be as well. You belong in jail if you do that kind of thing. I'm sorry, but I'm saying it out. You cannot do that. That is not. That is just an unwritten law. You don't do it.
But a lot of them want to see. No. Well, but they've done it on TV shows with hypnosis and recorded it, and often they want to see the actual what they said under it. So it does work. There was the one called Past Lives or something. It was on UK thing, and also an American one, which was quite interesting. They were regression and talking about things in their past life, and the guy goes out and investigates, and he finds actually people, those names and dates in that location, which is quite interesting. So yeah, but that's on another topic level: paranormal, out of body, past lives, and all that sort of stuff.
I don't think this is paranormal. I think this is an actual craft which is somehow taken over the car. I mean, what kind of technology can take over a car engine and the pedal on the car and the steering? I think we're dealing with something, mate, that's so far ahead. It could be like you got a hornet's nest in the bottom of your garden. Are you going to go down there and say, "Hi guys, I'm going to give you a quick lecture about human society"? They're not going to understand. All they do is sting you, aren't they? But the question is, what do they want with us?
Yeah,
there seems to be an absolute interest. There's no question of it. I think anyone that doubts abductions, once they've looked into it, they think, nah, it's rubbish. As learning difficulties. It's happening.
Yeah,
it's happening. But why? Are the actual physical aliens coming on physical craft? Well, I don't know. I can't answer that damn question.
Well, they seem to have suggested us. They talk about shiny craft.
It's highly suggestive of that, yeah. But are they projecting an image? I don't know.
Yeah, but how would they take control of the car? It'd have to be some sort of tractor beam almost, wouldn't it?
Yeah, but take note as well that the car was stalled before it was taken control of. Now, how often does that happen? Electrical interference with cars, going back to Leveland in 1957 and onwards,
and
case after case after case after case.
You're talking about transmissions that didn't have computers back then either.
Well, there seems to be ionizing the air. Whether it's a side effect of their propulsion system or it's a deliberate act is in the balance, I just don't know. That's my crappy professional opinion. I just don't know. But hell, we'll try and get to the bottom of it, yeah? That's what we're here for.
Women were taken aboard some type of craft and subjected to physical examinations, sometimes harsh in nature, sometimes tortuous. There was not any sexual molestation during the abduction, but they were restrained in embarrassing, humiliating positions. Mrs. Smith would reveal that her exam took place on a table. Mrs. Thomas's was inside of a capsule with an unusual-looking noose-like device around her neck, which tightened painfully if she tried to speak. Mrs. Stafford's exam was in a chair-like device. All of the abductees recalled having their bodies scanned, and instruments used which exerted pressure on their limbs. Mrs. Thomas recalled a tube with a bullet-like tip on it, which probed her chest, and she also recalled a warm liquid being applied to her face and body. Mrs. Stafford also recalled the warm liquid. The humanoids. The sessions brought out other details as well. The characteristics of the alien forms themselves seemed to be vague, and often indescribable. All three related shadowy figures, which floated or glided by them. They also recalled the frightening one eye or two eyes, which also hovered over them. Mrs. Stafford made an unusual statement in describing an eye exam. I could see a light at the end of a tunnel, which looked like a volcano with a jagged edge. At this point, she described great pain in her eyes, just like they've been pulled out. Mona recalled a single bright purple eye that radiated lightning-like rays. Elaine also joined the other two in describing the strange events. She remembered two eyes from a round head in a deep darkness. One eye, she said, was a beautiful blue, encircled by a blue membranous lid, like a turtle, and the other eye appeared dark. Louise saw several different forms of beings during her ordeal, but she was so frightened that she closed her eyes and didn't look at them. However, some months later, she described her vision of the humanoids in similar fashion to her two friends, adding that their hands looked like jagged wing tips. It would be Elaine who recalled the most about their captors, at one point stating, there were several small figures about 4 feet tall. Conclusions. One fact that all three agreed on was that the humanoids communicated with them by telepathy. Not once was an entity mentioned to have any type of mouth. Some interesting facts about the craft itself were revealed by Mona Stafford, when asked to elaborate on her description of the tunnel or volcano. She would now add to previous information that she was looking through a tunnel, with the room lit up brightly. She could see a square table with a helpless woman on it, surrounded by small figures clad in white. The small beings were closely examining the poor woman. In her own words, I'm not sure if the person was Elaine, or Lou, or maybe even me. After all of the revelations of the three women, there remained no doubt that something very extraordinary happened on the night of Mona's birthday. Several profound facts were accepted. 1. The three women had encountered a flying craft of unknown origin. 2. They had been abducted by beings unknown. In all cases, no matter how believable, it always helps if other witnesses come forward. This case also had other observers of the UFO that night, independent of Stafford, Smith, and Thomas. These sightings occurred in Casey and Lincoln counties, Kentucky. Within a couple of 100 yards of the abduction, one couple watched from the window of their home a large, luminous object, which passed over the Stanford area. This occurred about 11:30 p.m. The couple wanted to remain anonymous. Other observers reported also, describing a ring of reddish-orange lights around a disc-shaped flying object. Two teenagers, out for a joy ride, stated that they chased a low-flying UFO after it had hovered over the Angel manufacturing plant in Stanford.
No connection.
They chased the strange object all the way to Danville, and there they reported the object to police. Another very significant report came from the owner of the property, where the 3 women's abduction took place. The farmer stated that down the road from his house, he witnessed an unusually low-flying object which shot a white beam of light to the ground. Could this have been the precise time of the abduction itself? Although over 30 years have elapsed since the Stanford case, there has been not one negative comment on the details presented by Mona Stafford, Louise Smith, or Elaine Thomas. The Stanford, Kentucky abduction is still considered one of the best documented abduction cases in UFO history. Author B.J. Booth. Sources.
I think it's a lot better than Travis Walton anyway.
It most certainly is. There's another factor here. This would have made a fantastic book, wouldn't it? Or a fantastic film even. They refused tons of offers. Yes, they refused tons of offers to make a penny off it.
Well, they could have made a movie, but they didn't have to get the profit from it. Certainly, it's good to do a documentary on it, maybe. I'm surprised it hasn't been done already, though. But I suppose they've got commercial rights to it, though, haven't they? The family
They don't want to know. They didn't want to know.
Yes, because we want some drawings what they're doing, so just get rid of that one.
Before we go to that,
I'll just go to do a search. Stanford. Kentucky. It's amazing how many Kentucky reports we get lately, though. Abduction. Drawings we want, really. We'll just try that. Images. So, have we got any drawings they did? Probably not much here if it hasn't been documented, right? Probably.
There's drawings out there. I've come across them this week, you know.
You haven't got them handy?
No, I don't have the website, no, because it was getting kind of that's I think that's one of them. Yes, it is.
Let's just click on it and have a look. Well, there's the Kentucky goblins there.
So it's it's classic.
All right. No, I was looking for the aliens and other drawings they did.
Yeah, they were dark, shadowy type figures. No distinguishable features, if you like.
What's that one there? Traces. Could that be a set of drawings? Well, it looks like the same craft.
Yeah, I think it is because they sort of actually flipped on its side when it came onto the driver's side.
Well, it's 3 drawings, 3 different people signed it, by the looks of it.
Yeah, Elaine Thomas.
Very similar. That one's got two rows of lights. There's a difference there. So is that one. Oh, yeah, but they got 4 holes. So 2 of them actually kind of agree in the most here.
Yeah. I mean, you get any witness statement, you know, just imagine you in the pub and there's a big fight breaking out. And there's an investigation afterwards. It's not going to be quite the same every time, but if it is, it's kind of suspect.
Yeah, that's an easy read site there. Is there anything else in this one?
Yeah, look at that one, but it didn't go into enough detail.
Who's that? That's Lee Springle.
Leo
Springle, yeah. Well, it just shows some other images at least. So it shows the 3 drawings. This one, it's actually not too bad. It's like this one. I suppose we can't zoom into it. Oh, okay. Didn't know you could do that. You can rotate your wheel mouse and it shows you all the images on the page. Okay, that must be something to do with Microsoft add-on. So the first one's Smith. Next one is... what's her name? I can't quite read it. Stanford.
Yeah, there's Mona Stafford, Louise Smith, and Elaine Thomas.
Stafford, yeah. And
in fact, Mona Stafford was the only one that actually came forward with any interviews. The other 2 didn't want to know. They were too disturbed.
Yeah. Excellent.
It didn't end well, Paul, to be honest. It just didn't end well.
Mm.
No one got any joy out of this.
Did they do any interviews on TV at all?
Yes, which I've got for you now.
All
Only
right.
Mona Stafford. I did
okay.
drop the link, Paul. If you just hit the link, you'll find that if you just scroll down a little bit.
I think that's all the drawings that we're going to find.
Yeah, that the others are the beings, but they're kind of dark, shadowy type of figures.
I didn't see any beings during the week. Yeah, I didn't see any beings here though.
No, they did actually draw some. Mona Stafford did definitely draw some figures.
Well, if you could find the links to it, it'd be alright.
They kind of look like the Grim Reaper, if you know what I mean.
Right. I think I may have seen something like that. On the page.
Yeah. Okay, so what are you looking for now? Have you clicked on my link?
I think this is a link you gave me, is it?
Yeah, this is the one. So just go down straight to the video. So we'll get a little interview.
Yeah, who does it though?
Yeah, I don't know. Hopefully we can play this.
Well, let me have a look. Normally the CPU goes crazy when I do the videos.
Yeah, this incident's also known as the Lincoln County incident as well.
Okay. Who's doing it? Doesn't say. I suppose we should deface it just in case it's someone's thing. Yeah.
Okay.
Try that. Yeah, that'll do probably. Yeah. There we go. Deface it a wee bit. Just kick on play. There we go. Oh.
UFO sightings.
Flashback to the 1970s. Unidentified
it's only in one speaker.
Objects.
One newspaper put a sketch of a supposed extraterrestrial visitor on the front page. Gulfport
Is it loud
police
enough?
have received so many calls
Yeah,
that
let me
they...
just adjust it. I think it's a wee bit too low, but I might be wrong. Why is that not coming down? The CPU's peaking a bit. Now we'll try that.
Posted a nighttime watch.
It's what people across the country were talking about then.
Where's
And
my
in
shield
one
gone?
small Kentucky town, it's what people are still talking about.
Yeah. Where's the shield gone? Did I close it? Okay. I'm not sure why it closed. Must have closed it. Okay. We'll get there. Here we go. We're going now.
Documented in the local newspapers.
Oh,
we want to see.
Hang on, just
Put
go
a
back
sketch
a wee
of a
bit.
supposed extraterrestrial visitor on the front page. Gulfport police have received so many calls that they've posted a
CBS News, I
nighttime
think
watch.
it's sent.
It's what people across the country were talking about then. And in one small Kentucky town, it's what people are still talking about. Documented in the local newspapers.
We want to see what people saw in 1976.
Many people said they saw something one winter night in Lincoln County, but Mona Stafford is the only woman left to say she experienced it.
Oh, it's the most scariest, terrifying thing I've ever seen in my life.
January 6, 1976 in Stanford, Mona Stafford was turning 36. Mona, along with Louise Smith and Elaine Thomas, road under a cold,
sounds like the X-Files music there.
An intense red glow heading toward their car, inching closer and closer, until Mona says the object stopped and hovered next to the right side of the car. She says
I wish they'd get rid of the music.
White dome.
I said, "No, step on the gas, let's get out of here." And I looked down, I said, "Man, you're going 85 miles an hour." She just picked her feet up and said, "Mona, I'm not touching it, not touching the pedal."
And it's here the women say that their car finally stopped after going nearly 85 miles per hour. But the car didn't stop entirely. In fact, they say it backed up, heading towards a very dark area, an unknown farm to all three of the women. What happened after that forever is written in UFO history.
It pulled us up.
Get rid of the music.
That light just pulled us, sucked us up in it.
These drawings describe what each woman says happened next. For Louise, the gray creatures kept her arms from moving. For Elaine, her throat
we'll go back over
from
those in a
something
minute.
around her neck. For Mona, she lay on a table being observed. All three women say they were burned.
Went to my family doctor, and that's when he said, yes, I've had serious radiation.
Their story was the talk of the town and eventually the talk of UFO researchers. Seeking an explanation, the women decided they'd only share it with a psychologist, someone to help explain this strange event. To help unravel this mystery, the National Enquirer arranged for psychologist Leo Sprinkle to investigate the abduction story. Regressive hypnosis at the Brown Motel in Casey County took the women back to the strange darkness. A Lexington police detective gave Mona, Louise, and Elaine polygraph tests. After the session, everyone involved found the women to be truthful.
It's in my eyes when I close my eyes.
While the hypnosis helped the women, it did not explain why they could not fit the unexplained experience in their natural lives. Over the years, Mona Stafford wanted to talk about what happened, but Elaine and Louise didn't like to. And when they passed away, Mona was left to ponder alone.
Did you see that? That light, it's blinding me. I can't see anything.
35 years later, Danville-based playwright Elizabeth Orndorff is talking about the women's story. High Strangeness is a lighthearted tale fit for an audience.
We're lucky that she shared it with us.
I just want to know.
She sounds like a Shelley accent there.
Well, they're both from Kentucky, so I suppose it would sound similar, wouldn't it?
That's what I'm saying. Yeah, so they got the crazy sound effects in the right ear and the headset here, and they got the speech in the left. Sure. It's terrible. So let's just go back and have a look at those images.
Yeah, sure, but she sounds sincere, and she doesn't sound like she's enjoying the interview. Too much to me, shadowy.
I think so. Yeah, if you want to get my attention, just put the out there channel and it will highlight in orange if you want to get my attention in the side chat. Hello, Shelley's joined us. You're a wee bit late. You missed all the Kentucky stuff, you know. This is the stuff you would like, Shelley. It's all about your location.
My God. You're going to have to put me up, Shelley.
Yeah, that's Super Zoom's playing up. because
I'm
of
not
the
going until I've
CPU.
seen something, though.
What do we say here? These women are given off some sort of wave as animals attuned to them. Or maybe some sort of odor, because I remember others abduction counts where they're talking about odor and fluorescent dyes of all things. So I've covered that in my previous episodes many years ago. What else? I felt I saw something else here. There's lots of comments I can't keep up with. I love these SF.
Oh, it's okay. It's all good. Everyone's having fun.
Right. What's SF stand for?
Let me see what concept it's in.
Sci-fi? No, surely not.
I'm not sure if I'm looking at the same comment.
Oh, it's Renee. I thought it was Ken asking me something somewhere. Okay.
Yeah, Ken Rivers.
So this is Alien. Let's make it a bit bigger here and let's have a quick look. Because we didn't see the drawing. Hasn't got the normal grey eyes. Kind of looks like men in full body suits, like ninjas.
Yeah. But do you know if they wanted to keep the credibility of this case by not making money off it, they just Mona anyway, Mona Stafford, she wanted to keep it credible.
It can't
all
be
of them
human.
did.
Can't be human with slopey eyes like. You can't be human with slopey eyes like that, though, can it?
No, I wouldn't have thought so. Well, they said it was fading in and out.
What else we got here? I think there was something else in between, but I think we're seeing that one. Yep. What's the next one? What is this one? What are we looking at? Units. What's that say there? Can't quite read it. Lights, is it? Oh yeah, lights. So that was underneath the craft, was it? So it's another drawing. What else we got on the table? See that they've drawn these ones slightly different too. Right. So they look like more like surgical masks and stuff. Yeah, doesn't it?
Which has been explained on a million different other abduction cases, hasn't it?
Doesn't look like a really.
Not exactly the same. No two abduction cases are exactly the same. They never are.
Yeah. 4 beings. There's always 3 or 4, isn't it, as well?
Yeah. Yeah, it's never just the one, is it? Generally,
so she hasn't changed her story all those years, right?
No, I believe she's still alive.
Really?
Yeah, the other 2 have passed away.
Well, Corona might have finished them off by now, actually, as well.
Oh, don't say things like that, Paul. Jesus, man.
Well, it's true, isn't it? It really gets the older people, doesn't it?
Yeah, yeah. Well, if we all stay safe, then we don't pass it on, do we?
Yeah. Inquirer magazine there. What's that one? It's all out of focus. Must be a page on the magazine. I mean the newspaper. Why is it over-zoomed here? I'm not too sure why. See, she's doing a memory recall there. Look at the body language. She's thinking really deeply there. What was the question at that point?
That she didn't like the interviews, you know.
While the hypnosis helped the
CPU keeps peaking.
You know, and these are people in the time of their life. It's not funny, is it? I know this kind of thing doesn't happen, you know, all the time. I think humans are more of a danger, but when you got humans and then you got this on top, it's not good, is it?
All right.
This clearly happening. It's clearly happening.
Yeah. Yeah, I can't see any deception.
No.
In this particular case, anyway.
No.
Or why they would carry it on for so long, anyway. It's kind of weird.
and it's here the women.
Silver David died.
I wish they wouldn't interrupt the interview like they were doing here with extra bits. They should just have the full interview and then gone over it again. But anyway, where do we go to next? The next UFO case with the 6?
Oh, jeez. Here we go.
The ratings are going to skyrocket now. Do I have to change my classification to R18?
No, we don't need Tyler anymore.
I mean, no, the R18, you know, you have to actually specify if you've got sexual images.
Okay.
I think drawings are okay.
Well, there is actually, okay. I got you. Yeah, the David Huggins story. Lost my virginity to an ET. Well, okay.
I hope that was a really good looking ET then. Not a jellyfish with big suckers. Or 8 suckers.
Ooh.
Yeah, remember that old live we did talking about suckers? That was so funny.
What are they going to suck? Oh, God, what have I said? Oh, no. There we go. Banned from YouTube.
Is Shelley, is Susan out there still?
I hope Susan's out there.
I don't know. She's been very tired. She's suffering that tired disease that we had, where you can only stay awake for 5 hours and then you got to go and have a snooze again.
Flipping heck. Do you know what?
Yeah, she's mowing the lawns and it's really tiring her out. She needs a Texas lawnmower man to go and mow her lawns for her. The green ones.
My personal opinion, on this virus is that it's hit more of us than people actually realise, you know. Because since I was struck down with something that happened to be at a very suspicious time, I'm like having good days and days where I just haven't got the energy to do anything. And I'm getting out of breath. It almost feels like the old symptoms were coming back. I don't know, but oh my God, did you listen to Linda Moulton Howe on a Jimmy Church show?
I don't watch Jimmy Church for reasons.
No, well, yeah. My God, don't listen to it. My God, Linda was putting out some stuff that you just might as well do yourself in. It's going to wipe out 60% of the population, and I hope she's got that wrong. Like she's got loads of other things wrong in the past, but yeah. Anyway,
plus she's been on that show now, Skinwalker Ranch thing. And she didn't really add anything to the show whatsoever. I thought they were better off without her.
Well, she actually got deaths mixed up with infections.
Right.
Which is a bit of a catastrophic mistake.
Yes. And it couldn't get worse than that. Not at the Skinwalker Ranch, though. This is talking about this other interview you're talking about here. But yeah. Why is that so big? Oh, that's on the web page. That's right. Okay, so we actually didn't finish off that last case, did we? We got down to the video. Return.
Oh, look, Quinn's still with us.
Oh, right, you just wanted the video on this particular page, so we've already gone through all this. Was there anything else on this page?
No, we just, whoa, where are we now? I'm between two different tabs here. Let me have a look. I don't even know what case we're on here, Paul. What are you doing?
This is the link you gave me with the video on. Was there anything else on that page that was worth reading out about this?
No, nothing. We could be quite well. The only thing is there was the APO bulletin, but it's on the Black Vault, but it had a kind of a warning on it. Do you know what I mean? A copyright warning, and that went into the four witnesses that actually observed the craft that was there during the abduction. That went into that a little bit, but when I tried to actually highlight the text, I was having difficulty doing it, and we had that problem last week, so I didn't want to use that particular page.
Well, I might have a way around that now. I think I tested out my new options, so we can get around it if we have to. But did you post a link for the next case?
Yeah, I did, but I can repost it if you like. That'd be the easiest, mate.
Actually, I think I see it. Well, I thought I saw it. Here it is here. Copy. You might hear the shower. Someone's in the shower next door. There we go. Might have to scale down the font a wee bit. He likes to paint, does he? Okay. When he was 17. Yeah, let's kick it off, I suppose. We'll try that to start with.
Vice. When he was 17, David Huggins says he lost his virginity to an extraterrestrial. He has produced over 150 paintings detailing his lifelong affair. 6-minute reading time. Kara Weisenstein. 2018. This guy paints the sex he allegedly has with aliens. Vice. This article has been edited for brevity. When I was 17, I lost my virginity to a female extraterrestrial, the 74-year-old says in a documentary about him called Love and Saucers. That's all I can say about it. The coitus in question allegedly went down in 1961, when Huggins was a teenager living on his parents' farm in rural Georgia. It wasn't the first time extraterrestrials had appeared to him. He'd been seeing strange creatures since he was 8. But on this day, as he was walking through woods near his house, an alien woman appeared and seduced him. I thought, if anything, I'd be losing it in the backseat of a Ford, something like that. But it didn't work out that way, he says in the film. According to Huggins, these visits from extraterrestrials, and his sexual relationship with them, continued into adulthood. When I interviewed him for this story, Huggins told me his last encounter with Crescent, his name for the woman in the woods, was 6 months ago. I was sitting down in a chair, and the woman, Crescent, was behind me, and she put her arms around me, he said. And that's about it. I don't know anything else outside of that. Huggins is unnervingly matter-of-fact when he talks about his encounters. It sets him apart from what most of us expect from truthers and UFO enthusiasts. He's not in it for the notoriety and doesn't care if anyone believes him. When Huggins talks about fathering hundreds of alien babies, and yes, that's another facet of his encounters, he sounds about as even-keeled as a farmer explaining crop rotations. It's one of the things that drew filmmaker Brad Abrahams to track Huggins down in Hoboken, New Jersey, where he lives now. Abrahams heard Huggins' story on a podcast about UFOs and the paranormal. In a sea of outlandish claims, there was one that rose to the surface, he said. And that was David's story. Huggins was born in rural Georgia in 1944. In Love and Saucers, he talks about hunting for arrowheads in nearby fields for fun, and not liking the evangelical Baptist church his grandparents took him to sometimes. When strange beings that no one else could see started appearing to him around the farm, he thought he was losing his mind. I am sitting under a tree, and I hear this voice say, "David, behind you." And I turned around and there is this little hairy guy with large glowing eyes coming straight towards me. I thought it was the bogeyman. I didn't know what to think of it, he says in the film. Another day, an insect-like being that reminded Huggins of a praying mantis appeared. I was very terrified, he says. It was like, what in the world am I looking at?
Well, praying mantis
and for
are
an
scary
8-year-old,
looking.
you don't know what to think. Once the shock wore off, Huggins says his encounters were weird, but not all that threatening. When he left Georgia in the mid-60s for art school in New York City, the beings followed. Nocturnal visits from Crescent, the ET who deflowered him, became routine. My relationship with Crescent was warm and friendly. A little strange. What
Don't
do I
get
mean,
jealous,
a little?
Paul.
Very strange.
Any kids in the room?
She was
you
my
better
girlfriend.
cover their eyes
Really?
and ears.
Huggins says in the film.
Yeah.
A very unconventional relationship, he adds. One of the first paintings Huggins ever made was of him and Crescent, having sex. The paintings, not really all that good. She was on top of me, I reach my climax, then she and the insect being leave, he says. Similar paintings fill his apartment. They're surreal and a little childlike, dominated by deep blues and greens. This is another thing that sets Huggins apart from most people with alien abduction stories. He paints his encounters. It started in 1987, when Huggins started remembering details from early visits. He says the deluge was triggered by Bud Hopkins' OK Intruders, the incredible visitations at Copley Woods. It was like a compulsion. I was being led to the book, he says in the film. There is this chapter, Other Women, Other Men, and I start reading it. And I go, oh my God, this is the woman I never told anyone about. As I was reading it, memory upon memory came flooding back. It was image upon image. They wouldn't stop. I think what bothered me the most is I didn't know what to do with it. I was so scared. It seemed like he was almost going crazy, from not being able to process these experiences that happened to him. What were they? Why him? It really sounded like he was losing his grip on his life and reality, Abrahams told me. And then, apparently, he got this message from the beings, that he should paint the experiences, and as soon as he started doing that, it changed him.
So, yeah, ideal. So, he left home, he left Georgia when he was 19 to join some arts and painting league in New York City. And he believes the phenomena followed him. And it was just an ongoing thing. I think he was trying to escape the phenomena. I don't know. But this is another guy that I'm more skeptical about this case, of course. Because
there's no multiple witness.
It's well out there. And he also believed he was seeing these beings when other people couldn't see them. So I don't know. It's not as credible, but can we just throw it in the bin? Can we throw the baby out with the bathwater just yet? No, I don't think we can. The only money he's made out of this was a documentary called Love and Saucers. And midweek to do my research, I bought it. It was only $5. Now, I didn't want to go stealing it because I think he's a nice guy, very affable person who's liked by everybody who knows him likes him. And there was one thing that I seen in the documentary that made me think, hey, hello. There could be something to this. And that was his son. His son came on camera Now,
Yeah.
he wasn't willing to share what he encountered. All he would say is that he's had several strange experiences similar to his dad's, and he looked at completely different. Now, his dad, obviously, this guy now is quite eccentric.
Yeah.
He certainly hasn't made money out of it, Paul. He was living in a dingy kind of apartment, as far as I could see, you know?
Mm-hmm.
His son looked a lot more straight-laced and was a bit more reluctant to share what he had to share. But he said a few things that made me think, of course, with abductions, it often passes on, doesn't it?
Yeah, but if
To the offspring.
if his son's having sex with his offshoots, that's sort of inbreeding. Half brothers, half aliens. Makes you wonder. Well, you don't know who he's having sex with. If the son's having sex with other aliens, obviously, either they don't age like we do, or have they got so many aliens they bring with them towards Earth to have sex with others? Because, as you know, DNA, you start to get strange things happening if you too close to the family tree of the genetics, right? So maybe they do want that. Maybe they want to see DNA go wrong so they can understand how DNA works. Who knows? But yeah, I think Shelley's got a few health problems, and just makes you wonder, you know, if her brothers and sisters may have been taken too, and all that sort of thing. I'm not talking about it. It's definitely needs to be studied more, for sure. Even the crazy stories. So, do we carry on, or?
Yeah, sure, carry on, Paul. I'm enjoying it. This is good.
He said it was a release. He was able to sleep for the first time in weeks. And since then, he has painted every single detail of every encounter. 100-something paintings. It is art therapy. I don't know if that's how David would describe it, but that was a big part of what I wanted to show, too. Once he found a way to show the rest of the world, or even just himself, what happened, visually through art, he was able to process, make sense of, and come to peace with whatever it was that happened to him, Abraham said.
What's up? You're going to say something?
Yeah. He never sold any of them.
No?
This is the thing. No. But what he did was do an exhibition.
Right.
And it was free of charge.
And people wanted to buy them, I suppose.
No, they were just there.
All right. Would it be the sort of thing you want to hang on your wall, though? I suppose some people might.
Oh, I would. I'll hang anything on my wall.
Well, aliens having sex.
Oh, well, I'm not sure about that one.
Yeah.
You know, imagine inviting the girl around and she sees that. She's probably thinking, this guy's a little bit fat. I don't want to go there.
Well, she sees your wall anyway. She'll think that anyway, because you got all those UFO things.
Yeah. Oh my God. Yeah. It was so funny. Like someone came round the other day, and the room is like kind of littered with like UFO related stuff, and he looked around and he went into a world of his own, and he turned around. He suddenly said. And he looked at my bookshelf as well, which is full of UFO books. And he turned around and said, "Are you into UFOs?" That's stupid.
And you said, "Do you follow security?" Because they don't have a clue either.
And do you know what? The funny thing was, he sat down and he told me his UFO story.
Well, there you go.
I said, do a podcast, and then he got nervous, so he didn't want to tell me too much then.
Yeah, well,
I
that's
know.
well, you can just do it anonymously on podcast if he wants to.
Yeah,
but,
of course. I'd never give anyone away. It's just not done.
Yeah, it's amazing how many people out there are interested, but they're too scared to admit it. You know.
You got it. You got it.
Yeah.
I've got a lot of friends that have opened up to me about their experiences. But I can never repeat them here or anywhere else.
And same with
permission,
paranormal as well. Some of the paranormal stuff is just so out there. People think you're loopy. The demons standing.
There's definitely more paranormal events that have been reported to me than UFO stuff.
Oh yeah, definitely. Paranormal's everywhere, as far as I'm concerned. Some people can detect it, other people can't. I don't know. Maybe it's brain chemistry or something.
Yeah, I think some people are just more sensitive to it.
Yeah, or maybe if you don't believe in it, that sort of blocks something in your brain from being receptive to it. I don't know. Who knows? But you never know. I think a lot of scientists are like that until they have something really crazy happen to them, and then they sort of totally different. Turns their world upside down. And those ones that have been interviewed on Skinwalker Ranch is a good clear case where they suddenly have an apparition appear to them or whatever, and it changes the whole world's perspective of what's going on in their lives, right? So you hear the stories on that show, like I keep bringing up Paranormal 9/11, where they sort of go to a scene there, someone's had a car accident, and then they start seeing the person standing behind them that they're working on,
Mm-hmm.
They're seeing the outer body image and all that sort of crazy stories that you hear. So what do we got going on the side chat at the moment?
Yeah, I think Linda Moulton Howe is in the spotlight.
Yeah. She's been making a bit of profit from the UFO field lately too, hasn't she? Selling materials.
Well, I think I'm not. She's not a Stephen Greer type at all. That guy's a con man. Let's face it. He belongs in jail, belongs behind bars.
Yeah.
I'm sorry. Yeah, I know. I'm not making too many friends by saying stuff like that, but I tell you, I don't care.
Unsub. Yeah.
But no, Linda Moulton Howe, I think she's seen the whole of the moon, if you see what I mean, and she started believing everything, and she was in communication with these intelligence people who took her for a ride, and she's putting the stuff out as fact when it most probably isn't. I mean, she bumped into a lot of Richard Dotty type characters. I mean, I seen one show where she actually had Richard Dotty on the show, and Richard Dotty was talking about, these aliens are bad. It was threats, Yeah, they kidnapped 2 generals, abducted 2 generals, and gouged their eyeballs out. I was like, what? And
where's the evidence?
How was it all up? Where's the evidence?
Yeah.
There we go.
Yeah. Well, you should be able to find 2 generals with their eyes missing somewhere in the reports of medical history, surely.
But it's going to be quite hard to cover up unless they put them back in afterwards. I don't know.
I don't know. You'd have to cut the optical nerve and all that sort of business.
Oh, exactly, mate. It's I don't know what kind of technology they have, but no, I don't believe that started for a second.
That what happens in car crashes. Your eyes pop out sometimes from the G-forces. Kind of scary to think that you're looking down at your feet and it's dangling off your cheek. Kind of scary thinking about it.
Thanks for that, Paul.
Yeah, I thought I'd just throw that in. Yeah, I've got a lot of gory stories I can throw in if you want to. But anyway, we can carry on.
Yeah.
Said, "What makes Love and Saucers a very good documentary about a man who paints himself having sex with aliens is that Abrahams lays out the details of Huggins' story and lets viewers come to their own conclusions. At its core, Love and Saucers is a film about belief. The first half is Huggins telling his own story, but the second half is interviews with his friends and neighbors. Some of them weren't aware of Huggins' encounters beforehand, but they all believe him. Then there is Jeffrey Kripal, a professor of philosophy and religious thought at Rice University in Texas. He spent the early part of his career studying erotic mysticism, which led him to study alien abduction literature. The whole history of religions is essentially about weird beings coming from the sky and doing strange things to human beings, and historically, those events or encounters have been framed as angels or demons or gods or goddesses, or what have you. But in the modern, sort of secular, world we live in, they get framed as science fiction, he says in Love and Saucers. Kripal believes Huggins. He says the mix of terror and euphoria Huggins describes lines up with age-old descriptions of humans encountering the sacred. Plus, details of Huggins' abductions mirror those described by other people Kripal has interviewed, who believe they've had supernatural experiences. I'm completely convinced they're not lying, they're being very sincere. But again, what it is an entirely different question, and that's where I think we need a lot more humility, he says. Both the Hills watches mysteriously stopped running on the night of their experience. Whether or not you think Huggins has really been having sex with aliens for the past 50 years, what's apparent is that Huggins himself believes it. Consider that this man isn't lying, and that he's communicating something that he's experienced, but it doesn't have to be taken literally. Someone cannot be crazy, but still claim to have these completely unexplainable experiences, Abraham said. What I think is more fascinating than whether or not the truth is out there is what stories like Huggins's say about the impulse to explain away what we do not understand, and our limited ability to interpret all the sensations, experiences, and randomly firing neurons that come with being human. When I asked Huggins why he thinks the beings appear to him, he said, "I have a feeling that tens of millions of people, perhaps hundreds of millions, have had similar experiences. Mainly as children. That's all I can really say, but I think as children we are so open to things, that these beings can appear to us. I know I never closed up on it, because it has continued through my whole life." Please rate the material for credibility and importance. Your input.
What's all that? Oh, right. That's it.
Yeah. So, I don't know. I mean, the first case on Farmer's Factometer, yeah, I have to go like a whole 5 sheep with that one, and I'm so convinced that that first case was genuine. I'm going to throw in a couple of chickens as well.
You better explain your index in case there's new people here.
Oh, okay. The Farmer Factometer Index is rated on 1 to 5 chickens.
Cheap,
1 chicken being mundane, 5 chickens being something exotic or ET, if you like. So this one, well, we haven't finished it yet.
No.
Here's some images. And it's amazing what drives a man to wrote.
That one looks a bit like Shelley with her long hair.
Yeah, he actually painted. Oh Jesus, the link's too long. But if you just type in David Huggins,
I'm just going through all the images now.
Into Google Images. That link's not working, Paul. It doesn't work with images.
We do it the hard way.
Yeah, David Huggins. You got the spelling. There we go.
Aren't you watching? I'm just going through the images now.
Mm-hmm.
I've already done a search on it.
Okay, all done.
Oh, that's him there. Oh, that's the same one. Oh, similar one. They look pretty big compared to him. Which one's him? That one there.
Mm-hmm. They appeared to him first as a child when I think he was 7 or 8 years old. So, no.
Oh, here we go. Was that his children?
No.
That's a lot of aliens.
Yeah, but I think he's expanding on things there, you know.
Oh, what's going on here? What have we got there? That one looks different.
Mm-hmm.
So he's got a white flying saucer in this one, very similar to Shelley's Oyster UFO. Well, actually, this one doesn't taper off. Oh, what's that one there?
Yeah, I mean, to my knowledge of all the abduction type experiences he had, he only had actual one sighting of a UFO.
Right.
And yeah, he said it was huge.
Looks like they're sticking something up his nose there. And what's that one doing? Ooh, that's creepy looking. I don't know if that's his drawing or not. It kind of looks like it. Hasn't got his name on that one. Ah, so they actually went to look at his paintings as well, because there's the painting that we were looking at before on the what do you call it, stand. He's creative anyway. I give him that if it's not real.
Yeah, but what would obsess a man? Do over 150 paintings on something he experienced if it didn't actually happen. I don't know. I mean, I just don't know.
What's strange about this one is he's actually got pupils on the black eyes, and blue as well. That's abnormal, really, I think. They're normally all black or all blue for when they want to hypnotize you or make you calm. Oh, there's a sexual image. Cover the kids' eyes, people. Oh dear. And what's they doing on this one? Hovering up towards the UFO above his house? Well, that's fair high up, isn't it? Here's his house way down at the bottom there. There must be at least a mile up in the sky if they're hovering, taking them to the ship there. From that perspective. What else we got? Have we seen that one before? What's this one here? Went crazy scrolling. Who's that woman? Alright, Holly, whatever her name, catches out men who claims he slept with aliens. Did she actually catch him out? Daily Express. Do we actually trust Daily Express?
Oh God, no. Oh no.
So what did she claim she called it out on? Have you had a look at this one? Appeared to catch out a guest who claimed he lost his virginity. I suppose you can't play it.
No, look. I tell you what, we'll finish off on this case and move on to something maybe a little more credible, and maybe people are getting fed up with this one.
I ran into the barn. Hang on. Let's just go through this. Let's just have a read of. Let's have a read of it. I want to know what she caught him out on. This is one of these sites that's still loading because it's full of ads. Great site. No, it's not. Yeah, let's see if we can get the sucker to read out on this stupid page. And not really. Just thinking about it.
David Huggins, 74, made some very bold claims while talking to Philip Schofield and Holly Willoughby on ITV's
Schofield,
This Morning.
He's a Kiwi.
The Georgian-born deli worker explained that he has enjoyed many experiences with extraterrestrial life forms, with the first starting when he was only 8. He recounted, "I heard someone say, 'David, behind you,' and I turned around and this little hairy guy came coming towards me, and his eyes were glowing and he terrified me. I ran to the barn, and when I turned back he was running back into the woods. I went back to the barn later on that day, and he was hidden behind the tree."
Was that it?
Yeah, you're not going to expect anything much from that, like. But I mean, Paul, I had the interview for you. I had this all organised, you know.
Yeah. Well, let's just have a look. This page is just terrible. I think it's still loading. 74 man. Where's the rest of the interview? Look at it, still loading. It's this freaking crap site.
No, just turn it off before it overloads the system and we cock it up again.
UK Express. It's the most crap newspaper ever.
Oh, and the Mail and the Sun and the Mirror. Yeah.
I don't know. How did she catch him out? Okay, the guest stumbled when she asked if he would take a picture next time he saw Crescent and answered, "I don't know, I just never have." How's that catching him out? If I have a camera on me and tell me about it there beforehand, then yes. Meantime, Twitter was alight with the rather unusual chat as one posted, "Highlight of my morning has been watching Schofield during the interview with the 74-old man claims to have sex as his vigilante with alien called Crescent. Where do they get these people from, as if the man had sex with alien?" Another wondered, as a third said, look on the Phil's face when talking to a man who had sex with an alien. An alien wears a wig. Sounds like a case for Mulder and Scully. Mulder and Scully.
Yeah. Listen, there's no need to do that.
That's a crap site. So she caught him out because he wouldn't take a picture of the alien. Well, as you know, probably the cameras don't even work when they're around UFOs.
Paul, just play this. So I wish you'd.
Yeah.
Leave it to me.
You want me to play another link? Is it interview you said? Let's close that tab down too.
We didn't catch him out as such. He just turned round and said,
Oh,
they basically asked him why he hadn't caught them on camera.
They seem to know about cameras, though. That's the thing.
Yeah, well, he turned round and said, "Oh, I didn't really think about it," and he looked slightly on edge. But the way they treated him on that particular interview wasn't particularly nice either.
Love and Sources trailer. Ooh.
Yeah, you should be allowed to play a trailer, surely, because you only
No, I've
promoting.
been done on trailers before, remember?
Oh, yeah. Okay, don't do it. Don't do it. Forget about it. It's okay.
We probably could modify it. Hang on, let me just think. Things we have to do. You know, the copyright trailers as well. It's just ridiculous.
Mm-hmm.
Probably not even going to be loud enough. Do this right before the CPU peaks. Might be too loud now, I don't know. And the shield, is that still working? Looks like it. Before it's in the way. Let's see how it sounds. It's gotten really small. Oh yeah, the clicky sound will stuff it up. Oh, it's Orchard.
Why did these beings choose me?
Oh, it's too loud now, I think.
There an orange yellowish light comes on.
Oh. So instead of being the opposite loudness, it's maximum. Hang on, let me just put it back down. God, I wish this computer was faster. Okay, we'll just try it back to normal volume.
David is looking at the light and doesn't hurt his eyes. He is aware of the beings. They are standing over him. They are touching his body. My name is David Huggins. I'm 72 years old, and I live in Hoboken, New Jersey. I was living a perfectly normal life until I started remembering things. It was just like image upon image upon image. It wouldn't stop. I was so scared. The eyes were just glowing straight toward me, and we floated up to some type of craft. I said, "You hurt me, you hurt me." No, 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 no. This is the woman I never told anyone about. When I was 17, I lost my virginity to a female extraterrestrial. That's all I can say about it.
So this is the producers that did Dr. Greer's movie. Oh, well, there's the trailer anyway. Bit glitchy.
Okay.
But for some reason, it wanted lots of CPU to play that one. I'm not sure how well it come out, but anyway. So yeah, that's 1091. That's Orchard, but it's now called 1091 Productions. It's that Jim guy owns it, right? Well, maybe Jim bought it. But anyway, yeah, I kind of remember this one coming out, right? And didn't Scott Brando have a good laugh at it or something? He found something.
Likely.
I think he found something terribly wrong with his story, and he posted it on Twitter.
There's some things about his story that kind of relates to other UFO abductions. But he could have easily picked them up from elsewhere, you see. Right. So basically, it could be a grand deception, to be honest.
Whereabouts was his location there? It was, what was the location?
His location
yeah, we didn't
Georgia.
Put it up.
It was Georgia. Right. Then he moved to New York.
Yeah, let's just go from that location to Georgia then. See how far away it is. Georgia. USA. Here we go. We're going. Oh, it's not that far away then. It's nearer the coast from the other location. There we go. Alabama. Stanford, Kentucky. So it's all in the same area still though, isn't it? Which is interesting. So that's why I like to bring it up on the maps, so it gives us an idea. So it's only 500 miles away by the sounds of it. 8 hours drive. Or 8 hours by bus, is it? and probably 2 minutes by UFO. So, what's the next case we're going to? What's the other location? I had it up here once. Where's it gone?
That's an Air Force base. It happened over Portugal.
Oh, right, yep. So that's a fair distance away, is it? OTA Air Force Base. So let's bring that up. What's OTA stand for? Is that actually a name?
No, I don't think it's an abbreviation. It's not an acronym.
Hasn't come up with anything. Portugal. Hasn't come up. So again, right next to Spain there. But it didn't like me looking for the Air Force Base for some reason. So we got a link to go.
Yeah, I've left it.
Right. I'll just load it up. And what's the time around the world at the moment too?
It's 1:15 midnight here.
Right, it's coming up to the tea time over there, so there might be people dropping off now probably. California, mid-afternoon. Yeah, so let's read this little sucker out then, see how we go.
Yeah. It's a good case.
I think it's going to read out the table of contents, but we'll see how we go.
The 1982 OTA airbase incident over the skies of Portugal would result in 3 experienced Air Force pilots coming face to face with a UFO. As opposed to covering up the incident, however, the Portuguese Air Force Chief of Staff would take the unusual decision to release all files to UFO investigators in an effort to clarify events. His reason for doing this is perhaps as interesting as the events themselves. Artist's impression of a UFO over OTA airbase, Portugal. There are UFO sightings all over Portugal, as there are in any other country. There are UFO sightings all over Portugal, as there are in any other country. However, the area around Ota Air Force Base appears to have a cluster of such sightings over the years. Might they have a connection to the airbase in question? The country does have a long history of strange and unexplained sightings. Perhaps one of the more famous of these incidents occurred in 1917. 30,000 people would claim to see the Sundance in the sky. Was this merely a natural phenomenon, or might a UFO be responsible for the miraculous event? You can check out the video below for a quick overview of that particular incident. Contents. The incident. Attempted interception and military files released. No satisfactory other unexplained sighting. The incident. The morning of November 2, 1982 would take a bizarre turn at around 10:50 a.m. Pilot and flight instructor, Captain Julio Guerra, reported to ground control that a strange object hovered beneath him. Within seconds, the strange craft went from under his chipmunk plane to directly in front of him. The object was so close to Guerra's plane that he could clearly see the makeup of it. He would later describe it as a round craft in 2 clear halves. These halves fit together like 2 tight-fitting skullcaps. Between the 2 halves was a grid with flashing lights seemingly shining randomly.
Good night,
the bottom of the 2 halves appeared to have a dark center spot, possibly the craft's propulsion system. The object would circle and hover Guerra's plane for close to 15 minutes. It would move at an alarming pace, performing moves not within the capabilities of any known craft. Another chipmunk arrived into the airspace, with both its occupants, Carlos Garces and Antonio Gomez, witnessing the craft themselves for around 10 minutes. It continued to circle around the two planes, dashing in between them at extraordinary speed. Attempted interception and investigation. Guerra made the decision he would intercept the object. Realizing that he would not be able to chase down the craft due to its superior speed, he instead headed for a spot where he anticipated it to be. He almost met the craft head-on before it swerved upwards and came to a stop right above his plane. Suddenly the object would shoot off from the scene at breathtaking speed. The pilots didn't see the craft again. Upon landing their planes at Ota Air Base, all three pilots would immediately make reports of their encounter. There was no initial follow-up until the Portuguese Air Force Chief of Staff became aware of the incident. He would take the unusual decision to invite independent UFO investigators to look into the incident. Not only that, he would make the military files unconditionally available to them. Military files released for independent investigation. Perhaps the reason for the ease the files would become available for investigators was due to the Portuguese Air Force Chief of Staff, General José Lemos Ferreira's personal experience with such matters. He himself had witnessed a very similar craft, decades earlier when he was still a young squadron leader. What's more, the sighting occurred in the same skies as the 1982 encounter, over Ota Air Force Base. The incident would unfold on the evening of September 4, 1957. Leading his squadron of F-84G Thunderjets at around 9 p.m., a strange, bright object came into view. Colors of red, blue, white and green all emanated from the craft. All pilots were aware of the craft, and all would recall seeing smaller, orb-like objects leave the main body. After observing the scene for several minutes, he would lead his squadron back to base and file a report. Although no further information or investigation happened following his report, he would not forget the incident. Indeed, when the request for information and the release of the military's files came to him, it was his own experience that was perhaps the driving factor in a move that was very much against the grain of normal military procedure. No satisfactory explanation. Although there was complete cooperation from the military, at least from the Air Force, no satisfactory answer would present itself. Indeed, the only explanation from the wider military being that the pilots had merely witnessed a weather balloon. All three pilots would refute this notion unreservedly. According to their estimates, the craft had managed vertical speeds of close to 300 miles per hour, not at all the kinds of speeds that a weather balloon could manage. When flying around the Chipmunk Plains, those speeds were likely 5 times as fast, at around 1,500 miles per hour. Again, these speeds are far from the capable movements of a weather balloon. Officially, the sighting remains unidentified, but that the craft is of intelligent design, at least according to the pilots, is beyond doubt. The video below is worth checking out. It is in Portuguese, but it still gives a good visual explanation.
Yeah, good explanation of events. Well, does it? I'm not sure. So, we can't understand it, can we?
Nope. How do we get rid of that? Yeah, let me sort that out. Stupid pop-up error messages. We don't need them. Shame we can't toggle those off. Do you want me to play the video, do you?
Yeah, you can. Yeah, if you want to take a chance.
And of course, you were joking about unsubbing with Dr. Greer comment. We did actually get an unsub. It hasn't updated here though. So it's in Portuguese. Is it like a TV show or what?
Do you know what I mean? If any Stephen Greer fan wants to unsub, that's cool with me.
Okay. Damn. Oh, that's loud, isn't it? So, how can we translate it then? I think we need to open it in a separate thing. It's got no translation. Is it in English or what?
No. It's in Portuguese. I'm not
Let's
really sure
look
this is...
Not now. Translate page. I don't know what's that's popping up here.
I don't think that's possible, you know, Paul.
Not in the video, no. I don't know what this thing is. Is that looking TV news channel or what? So how's this going to help us if it's not in English? 1982. So watching a silent movie.
It's a reconstruction. But
yeah. Is he English or?
3 pilotos da Força Aérea da base da Ota.
No. And we got nice subs. That kind of sucks. So yeah, I don't know if it's going to be much good to us.
No, I'd suggest not.
If it had subs, it would be alright, and we could read along. Top Gun, play the music. The heat is on. Was that the Top Gun music? I can't remember now. I've seen a UFO balloon. Go and get it. Doesn't look much of a plane though, does it? Kind of looks like a Cessna type or a Piper type plane, doesn't it? Here we go, here we go. What's going to happen?
No.
Oh, there we
go. No. It's a jet fighter, Paul. It's not a Cessna.
Well, it doesn't look like it. Pretty crappy plane. 57 though. We'll look up the specs in a minute. Was it a something rather 57? What it was called, wasn't it? It was a bit like a Spitfire, I guess. Well, that certainly doesn't look like a weather balloon in the drama here.
Well, it wasn't a weather balloon, that's for sure.
Ooh. So he's flying around in a crappy plane like this, so the UFOs must be laughing. Thinking, what the hell is that thing? Terrible.
Yeah, they were Thunderjets, F-84G Thunderjets.
Oh, you got a picture?
No, I haven't. But I'm sure you could easily find one. I can tell you now, it's not a crappy little Cessna.
Yeah, there's nothing really much here to look at, I don't think. If we could, if it was translated for us. I suppose we could get someone to translate it that's in Spain. I suppose it would be similar. Classified documents, is it? Yeah, it's not much help, is it? Okay, and let's just move on. So, what was it? What's the name of the plane you said? FJ.
It's an F-84G Thunder jet.
Hang on, F-84G. Oh.
Yeah.
F8. Thunder jet. There we go. Ah, it's got some extra tanks on the ends. Well, it certainly didn't look like that in the drama, did it?
No, exactly. It was a big construction.
Terrible construction, because it's not even accurate. No, yeah, that's a jet, so it's not even propeller. So, yeah, that makes more sense. Replacement for the P-47. So this is what we've been looking at here. Probably.
It would have been capable of Mach 2 without any
yeah, no Cessna for sure.
Issues, you know.
So this is why we got to bring up images so we get the full proper picture.
It's a little bit scary when something goes flying between two planes in formation, and something suddenly goes flying in between the two of them.
There we go.
It becomes an issue then, doesn't it?
Reached its Mach 8.82. What's it saying? Limitation. So it couldn't go more than 0.82 of a Mach. So it couldn't actually do speed of sound. Just below the speed of sound. Well, a wee bit below the sound.
Just below.
Well, it is 57, isn't it? What year were they made? 1947? 1944, I mean.
Sure, you've got the right one here.
Thunderjet, you said?
Yeah, it's the F-84G model.
Well, I put in G, and this is what it...
Same one.
I'd say it would have to be, wouldn't it? Is it F8E? So what's the difference between G and E? Oh, here we go. Straight wing F4A to FAE and F4G models were all called the Thunderjet. And the F84F was called Thunderstreak, and the other one was called Thunderflash. Different airplanes were swept wings. Alright. So it must be all the same.
It's 1982. Please don't tell me that they couldn't break the sound barrier then. Do you know what I mean?
Well, that's what it kind of says.
They'd be well past Mach 2 then.
It doesn't say that here.
Yeah.
Because it's 1945, right?
You see, I mean, just scroll up and look at the picture there. You're looking at something 1953. They're not going to be still using that.
I don't know. 52. 84Cs. So maybe the G is through progression of years, is it? Where they've done...
it's what I'm saying. You're looking at a different model.
Upgraded the engine so they could go faster still. So you might be right. F8E.
There's your guy.
Where?
Oh, you just moved up. F84G, which entered service in 1951. Wow, as early as that.
You were going to do Mach 2 back then?
No.
There you go. Different engine. That's what I was saying. Different models. Doesn't talk about the Mach speed though, does it? I can't see anything about Mach speed. Yeah, I wish they'd have a little chart. It would make a lot of difference.
Yeah.
FG
anyway,
difference to
whatever it was and whatever its capacity was, whatever that thing they seen was doing was making fun of it.
Yeah, didn't even do it. What's the difference between E and G? Now that might tell us. Maybe the fuel tanks. Large scale planes. Where does it say? They're asking the same question. What's the difference between them? Okay, so what's that say there? My eyes blurred out. The G had later perforated air brake,
yeah.
And a G only had a braced canopy. For what is worth, the G was wired for nuke strike. In regard to the kit, E issue has perforated air brake braced canopy. In G kit to be released. Is that the only difference? So,
Paul, man, we're putting people to sleep here.
Well, they're talking about the engine being different, bigger caliber. It must have gone a bit faster anyway. Probably broke the speed level. Oh, did I close the wrong screen then? Did we have more on that page to read, did we? I've lost it now. Was there only the video on it that we wanted to watch? Was there more on that page?
Jesus, man, I'm looking at planes. I've completely lost track at the moment, Paul. To be honest.
We'll get on track. Yeah. Is that the right one, though? Yeah, I think it is. Okay, let's go down past that video. Where's the video? Yeah, that's the wrong plane there, surely. Yeah, it has to be.
No, that's just the artist's impression of the Air Force base.
So the incident, oh no, we got down to there, didn't we? Oh, I don't think we did. Let me just have a look. Okay, let's keep it going.
The incident. The morning of November 2nd, 1982 would take a bizarre turn at around 10:50 a.m. Pilot and flight instructor, Captain Julio Guerra, reported to ground control that a strange object hovered beneath him. Within seconds, the strange craft went from under his chipmunk plane to directly in front of him.
I think we read that.
The object was so close to Guerra's plane that he could clearly see the makeup of it. He would later describe it as a round craft in two clear halves. These halves fit together like two tight-fitting skullcaps. Between the two halves was a grid with flashing lights seemingly shining randomly. The bottom of the two halves appeared to have a dark center spot, possibly the craft's propulsion system. The object would circle and hover Guerra's plane for close to 15 minutes. It would move at an alarming pace, performing moves not within the capabilities of any known craft. Another chipmunk arrived into the airspace, with both its occupants, Carlos Garces and Antonio Gomez, witnessing the craft themselves for around 10 minutes. It continued to circle around the two planes, dashing in between them at extraordinary speed. Attempted interception and investigation. Guerra made the decision he would intercept the object. Realizing that he would not be able to chase down the craft due to its superior speed, he instead headed for a spot where he anticipated it to be. He almost met the craft head-on before it swerved upwards and came to a stop right above his plane. Suddenly the object would shoot off from the scene at breathtaking speed.
Oh, we'll just go.
The pilots didn't see the craft again. Upon landing their planes at Ota Air Base, all three pilots would immediately make reports of their encounter. There was no initial follow-up until the Portuguese Air Force Chief of Staff became aware of the incident. He would take the unusual decision to invite independent UFO investigators to look into the incident. Not only that, he would make the military files unconditionally available to them. Military files released for independent investigation. Perhaps the reason for the ease the files would become available for investigators was due to the Portuguese Air Force Chief of Staff, General José Lemos Ferreira's personal experience with such matters. He himself had witnessed a very similar craft, decades earlier when he was still a young squadron leader. What's more, the sighting occurred in the same skies as the 1982 encounter, over Ota Air Force Base. The incident would unfold on the evening of September 4, 1957. Leading his squadron of F-84G Thunderjets at around 9 p.m., a strange, bright object came into view. Colors of red, blue, white and green all emanated from the craft.
Strange, eh?
All pilots were aware of the craft, and all would recall seeing smaller, orb-like objects leave the main body. After observing the scene for several minutes, he would lead his squadron back to base and file a report. Although no further information or investigation happened following his report, he would not forget the incident. Indeed, when the request for information and the release of the military's files came to him, it was his own experience that was perhaps the driving factor in a move that was very much against the grain of normal military procedure. No satisfactory explanation. Although there was complete cooperation from the military, at least from the Air Force, no satisfactory answer would present itself. Indeed, the only explanation from the wider military being that the pilots had merely witnessed a weather balloon. All three pilots would refute this notion unreservedly. According to their estimates, the craft had managed vertical speeds of close to 300 miles per hour, not at all the kinds of speeds that a weather balloon could manage. When flying around the Chipmunk Plains, those speeds were likely 5 times as fast, at around 1,500 miles per hour. Again, these speeds are far from the capable movements of a weather balloon. Officially, the sighting remains unidentified, but that the craft is of intelligent design, at least according to the pilots, is beyond doubt. The video below is worth checking out.
Oh, that's where he got to.
It is in Portuguese, but it still gives a good visual explanation of events.
Okay. It was worth going over it again. So that was that one. Oh, where's it disappeared to? That one there. Other unexplained sightings.
Yeah.
What's the next section? That's alright. We'll just go through it. No, there's not much there anyway.
No.
So yeah, why would the UFOs have so many colour lights on? Is it maybe to make people sound crazy when they explain they've seen one? Maybe, you know.
A question that's been asked for a long time now. You know, why don't we turn the lights off?
To make them look like a Christmas tree and people won't believe them. It's possible.
You know, this is my take on it. If you got a bunch of ants at the bottom of your garden and you've got a cloaking device available, yeah, why are you going to hide from them? They can't do anything anyway if they see you. Yeah. So those ants are observing something, but they can't make any sense out of it anyway.
Yeah, but what would be the practical reason to have so many coloured lights on a craft, though? The airplanes have red, green, and white, but they're not always in the same places. But the UFO lights always seem to be in different locations and configurations. It's very strange.
Yeah. So what can you say? So what's your conclusion from there? It isn't happening. It's all rubbish. It's all a lie. UFOs wouldn't have lights on. I'm not sure we can come to that conclusion because, excuse me, there's too many good witnesses. They're seeing the same thing, and there's plenty of lights. I don't know. That's my opinion. I don't know.
Well, if it's circular craft with red coloured lights, I can't really see how that would be like landing lights to what we come to our planes. So
and why would anything budget had these lights all over them
they
well?
They wouldn't.
Exactly.
Unless they want to make, if people see it, sound crazy. You know, you saw a plane with all these coloured lights on. It's imagination. So it could be like a disinformation thing with the lights. That's what I'm saying.
Oh, like a deception.
Yeah, camouflage sort of thing. All right, makes it less credible. Maybe that's they know the human psyche says, "Oh yeah, right." You know, it's interesting to think about it anyway. Well, it'd be interesting to know what other people think about the lights on UFOs, what they think, because I can't really see them being like range finders and stuff like that, because I know some of them have beams, but they don't seem to come from the lights on the outside of it.
Correct.
Unless they use it like signaling over large distances, where they alternate the blinking patterns, and it actually is like a language over, like semaphore, which is another possibility to other UFO craft.
I used to think that maybe it was like a byproduct of the propulsion system, but no, I'm not convinced of that at all.
No.
Other unexplained sightings. Many of Portugal's UFO sightings appear to be concentrated towards the south of the country. Many of those are centered in and around the Lisbon area and the Ota Air Force Base. Perhaps one of the most intriguing sightings, although not strictly a UFO encounter, was the Angel Hair incident in Évora in 1959. On November 12, the town's residents awoke to find a strange white cobweb-like substance around the town. Analysis of the substance would suggest it was the product of a single-cell organism. Others firmly believe the strange substance to be the result of ionized air, possibly the result of UFO activity in the region. Incidentally, Évora is just over 100 miles east of Ota Air Force Base. Check out the video below which looks at this particular incident. Although it happened around 200 miles to the north of the Ota Air Force Base, an incident in the autumn of 1990 also remains unexplained. In the small town of Alfina, a group of schoolchildren on their way to class would spot a strange object overhead. According to their reports, the object was saucer-shaped, with 4 beams hanging down. One witness would describe the object as being like a turtle with legs. Some witnesses, extremely spooked by the sightings, began to throw rocks skyward toward the object. One resident, however, photojournalist, Manuel Gomez, managed to take 4 clear pictures of the craft. It looked exactly as witnesses had described.
Really?
Incidentally, all 4 pictures have verification as being authentic.
Alright.
Alfina UFO.
There we go.
The object remained over the town, observing for an hour.
Won't go up.
Alfina UFO. The object remained over the town, observing for an hour before it sped off upwards and out of sight. It remains unexplained and unidentified. Check out the video below which looks at the strange sighting. Disclaimer.
Alright, it's finished.
Yeah.
That's a really strange looking craft.
Yeah.
If that's what they photographed.
Don't know what
Do you
to
reckon
make
that's
of that.
alien technology, or does that look more like
No,
human technology?
No, I can't believe for 1 second that's alien. I don't know. I can't be sure.
Kind of looks like a globe of the Earth on some sort of stand, Yeah.
I'm not really sure how that's supposed to fly.
Could be a balloon. It could be a balloon with some sort of stiff legs on it.
Yeah. It's an odd one.
It is an odd one.
That's much as I'll say. Yeah.
I think that one may be possibly a hoaxed one, and people saw it in the sky. It's probably a balloon, But who knows? aliens maybe fly around with the legs down, the landing gear down, unlike we do. Older technology.
Oh God, I can't believe that.
Yeah, I don't know about that one, but it's still, aliens at different technology levels visiting Earth is possible.
Well, I mean, it'd be a dangerous game to try and think like
us.
An alien thinks. Yeah. Applying our thinking to them is definitely dodgy game, to be honest.
Yeah, I tried to type love, but the CPU was peaking and it didn't come out. I said, no one loves us. No super chat again. Good day, good night from wherever you are watching. Are you heading off? Are you Plex? We're about to wrap up soon anyway. I think we're coming up to the 3-hour mark. I think is there any other stuff you wanted to post there, Robert? Because I think we're coming to the end anyway.
No, pretty much done for tonight,
Yeah.
You can have a little chat if you like.
Yeah, we can have a chat after, you mean? Or now?
Yeah. Well, no, I mean, before we end the stream, it's up to you.
Yeah. Well, people can ask us questions in the side or anything general or about tonight's show. Go ahead and we'll answer it.
It's been a little bit of controversy going on in the UFO field, to be honest.
All right.
And it's all quite funny.
Yeah. Well, what's the only thing that's happened this week is that Brazil UFO crash was obviously faked.
Yeah, well, MJ Benares, he wrote a decent article about it, and to me at this stage, I don't know exactly what it was, but everything's pointing towards it being a hoax. Can't remember his name now. Guy from Brazil, AJ. He's known as. He's in close proximity to the event, and he said it's a hoax.
Yeah.
So I don't know,
Susan. We didn't expect you to donate. Why is it not playing the thing? I tell you, everything's screwed up. It only plays Little Dancing Alien. Oh, thanks.
Yeah,
it must be slow. Slow internet.
But nobody
update. I'll probably update in a minute. Who knows?
Yeah, but nobody likes
listening
to how slow the internet is. So.
It's very slow today. There you go. Thanks, Susan. What's that meant to be a picture of the sticker? Where's the alien? Or robots? Or UFO? A UFO one. Have they got any UFO stickers? Yeah, sorry, I didn't mean to interrupt you, Robert. What were you saying?
Yeah, until further evidence comes forward, I think the Brazil case, which happened just a few weeks ago, it's looking like a hoax or misidentification at this stage. But let's hold on and wait for further evidence before we make any real conclusions as to what exactly happened there. And I think with Brazil, especially, the people there tend to be a little bit superstitious and very open-minded. Fair play to them. And sometimes maybe too open-minded. I mean, it's a good thing. It's a good thing to be open-minded, but not so open that your brains falls out. I think that's what. But I think South America in general has been like a little bit of a hotspot for UFO and paranormal activity over the years. So, I mean, I don't really know what's going on there. Could it be? Could it also be a place for secret weapon testing? By whom? Well, the usual suspects, I suppose.
Mm.
Going back to the Galapagos incident in '77. It was on an island. Well, a group of islands, a community there. So, I just not too sure where people were burnt by these so-called laser type. So I don't know if it's UFO or not. It's difficult to say because there's no really good reporting network in Brazil. They've only got a handful of good, stable-minded researchers. So it's difficult to tell, just what is actually going on there and what has been going on for decades now. I think something's going on. I mean, Chickabaga, that was complete nonsense, for God's sakes. I mean, I've seen it filmed, and all it was a monkey coyote. Yeah. And then, of course, another thing in the headlines was Edrica Luke's song. Oh, my God, did you see that on Space Start Radio? Oh, jeez.
Haven't caught up with all that.
Eh?
I haven't caught up on all the news and other podcasts.
Yeah, that's what I tried to do, and it caused a bit of a storm, to be honest. She was talking about the Skinwalker Ranch, and she met her husband. Husband is Chris Marks. Chris Marks was employed as a security guard at the Skinwalker Ranch. He met Edrica and seems to have completely changed her mind on not just Skinwalker Ranch, but the whole of ufology.
Really?
Now, Edrica Lukes was part of MUFON at one stage. And she believed in plenty. And now she's gone, whoa, my God, she's gone like Mick West, if you like. But no, not Mick West. But what she's doing is blaming like every single event on secret weapon testing and the likes. And she thinks we've all been hoodwinked about the UFO phenomena. Really? Well, I actually strongly disagree because some things just don't add up at all with her narrative, and now she's having guests on a show and she seems to be cherry picking the guests that agree with her narrative, and I tell you what, it didn't. It got stormy and unpleasant, unfortunately. There's nothing wrong with being skeptical, and
but you got to have
I
balance.
respect everyone's opinion, but I just don't like the influence. I mean, skinwalking out, okay. Maybe some of the stories were a bit made up about the bulletproof wolf, and what have you. But I'm shooing out secret weapons testing. Would that really involve a bulletproof wolf? Why on earth would you do that? Yeah, why would you do that? I don't know. Yeah, so it got a bit nasty, and unfortunately, people calling her some names that she didn't deserve.
If you're doing secret weapon testing, surely the other ranchers would also notice it as well, or have it over their ranches.
Yeah.
Yeah, she's been hoodwinked by the sounds of it. Mr. Dotty.
That's the feeling that I'm getting, and you know, this husband of hers, Chris Marks, was only a security guard, so I don't think he was privy to everything that was going on there. But what Edrica has done, she's gone looking into Bigelow and Ned's and all this stuff, and she's found these connections that point to them kind of collaborating with the military and what have you.
Right.
But no, I strongly disagree with her narrative, although I respect her as well. But I also noticed
there was something strange going on to the Skinwalker Ranch with the microwaves and ionization and radiation there. So
yeah,
makes sense that the military might be interested in that, because maybe they got some underground leak happening from one of the experimental nukes that went off or whatever. Who knows? They might be interested in case it's polluting or causing damage, which is they get sued for billions of dollars later, right? So who knows? Or they might be interested to know what's so special about the ranch themselves. Who knows? Maybe it's where a portal exists of some sort, where it opens up from time to time and lets things through and lets things out again. So this bulletproof werewolf might actually be a creature from another parallel universe that popped and then popped back out.
Yeah. That's what I've been thinking about, these cryptid type beasts for quite a long time now. From Bigfoot to Dogman to bulletproof wolves. I think there's some kind of portal going on, you know. There's been an awful lot of sightings in Canada, which are quite scary if you're willing to be open-minded, and some of the witnesses appear at least to be bona fide and kind of reporting the same type of thing going on. And quite often they're disappearing in a flash of light. How does that work?
What did you say? Sorry, I wasn't concentrating on the last sentence.
Yeah,
flash of light.
Disappear in a flash of light.
Oh, disappear in a flash of light. Well, it could be a portal. It could be like super fast and creates an energy burst before it soups off, and you don't see it souping off. I don't know. We have to see how the series ends. I think it's got one more episode left, doesn't it? And the cattle mutilation part of it now.
To be honest, I've actually stopped watching it, Paul.
Oh, right.
To me, it's that bad.
Well, I did debate the UFO being a bird over the cattle anyway, but
I don't know. It could well have been a bird. I don't know what it was. It was too grainy. It was just another light in the sky. Excuse me. Yeah, it was just another light in the sky to me. But of course, they have to find something. Otherwise, the show's not going to keep going. But a little bit strange with the Project Blue Book. That series has been cancelled now.
Yeah,
and they're looking. I noticed last night they were looking for someone else to put a third series out, because they've actually filmed a lot of stuff that is going to be cancelled if they don't find another platform to use it on. But that's another thing, another TV show that I've stopped watching because it's just gone. Oh yeah, definitely.
It's still entertainment.
Well, I understand, Paul. It's entertainment, But what they were doing, they were using genuine UFO cases at one stage.
Mm.
Yeah. And then the History Channel, if you went to the website, was giving you the basics of the factual information on that UFO incident. Now they're just completely making incidents up.
Right.
So that's upsetting to me.
Mm.
And it's
underground sea bases that get captured and dragged off to Antarctica. But yeah, I kind of like that though. I like the sci-fi drama thing, as long as you don't treat it as real.
Well, the unfortunate thing is, well, there's two ways it can go. One, it can get someone interested in UFOs and take a deeper dive. And then maybe you've got someone new in the subject, maybe someone who could join this channel one day. And then you've got the other side of it, where they're making up complete nonsense, and they believe the nonsense side of it rather than the factual side. And they end up joining, oh my God, someone like security. And let's face it, people like drama more than they do facts, don't they?
Yep. Yes, they say it's boring.
Yeah.
Boring. If it's too wordy, it's boring.
Lots of good cases out there without resorting to that kind of made-up nonsense. And then, what else have we got? John Greenwald came up with some interesting stuff the other day about a FOIA request, Freedom of Information Act, of course.
Yeah.
And got some back from the FAA. That's the Federal Aviation Administration. So they've made a flat denial that they don't investigate UFOs, but he also had other documents from the FAA that are in complete, denial of that official statement that suggests that most definitely they are investigating UFOs.
Yeah. Well,
I mean,
they keep
that's
lying.
it in a nutshell.
They keep lying. It's about time they should have released it all now. I think it's out in the woods now. Out in the field.
I think it sort of is, yeah. I mean, if something goes, if something's like within 100 feet or 200 feet or 50 feet of your left wing or your starboard wing, good God, man, that needs investigating. You're not just going to ignore that and pretend it's going to go away. And it's happening all the time.
Okay, so let's put it this way. Why do you think the government won't come clean on it? What's your ultimate reason?
It's a good question. It's a very good question, Paul. Because I think there's something there that would just be a little bit too difficult for us to take in. I mean,
such as?
These guys might not be so friendly.
My feeling is there's probably going to be multiple races visiting, and like you said, some of them are not going to be friendly. And maybe they have got an alliance with some friendly ones that are trying to help us keep the bad ones out of our region or atmosphere. Abducting people. So the bad ones might be the ones abducting people. But the question is, why is there claims of Mount Hayes having underground bases where they're doing experiments on kidnapped people? You know, people gone missing, being experimented under the base there, apparently, by remote viewers. So we've had 2 remote viewers that didn't know what they were remote viewing say the same thing. Although remote viewing we found is only like 35% accurate, isn't it? Although the stories they come up with are very interesting, And there may be a lot of things that's not correct because they're trying to interpret it, visions in their head or whatever. How they're ever doing it, I don't know. But yeah. But you hear about other claims about secret levels in body parts of humans where they're experimenting. So why are they experimenting? What's the thing there that they need to experiment on humans to find out?
Okay, I'm talking anecdotal stuff now that there's not any great evidence for, but there was an incident in Vietnam. I think it was in the late 60s where apparently some soldiers came across an incident where there was a dirty great UFO with aliens transporting human bodies onto the ship or body parts, and there was a kind of a firefight. Now, okay, this sounds to me like disinformation, but hello, just remember for 1 second, what if one of these tales of that ilk were genuine? Just one. That's all it takes is one. How the hell can they tell us that, mate? So, but I think we've seen a soft disclosure now over the last 3 years, at least, since December 2017. I think we've seen a kind of a disclosure. Are they going to tell? I mean, how can they tell people? Oh my God, abduction's real, by the way. Yeah, and people are being taken out of their bed. And when driving the car, and when out fishing, and when out walking the dog, people are being taken. Some of them ain't coming back, by the way. You can't tell people that.
And that's what I think too. I agree with you.
What if he knew about Fred Valentich? I mean, he disappeared without trace. I mean, how on earth are you going to tell people? Oh yeah, that happened, but don't worry. It's okay to fly. It's okay to walk your dog. It's okay to go fishing. It's okay to have a walk country park.
Yeah. I mean, well, imagine coming out as a government and saying, we know what aliens are. They're not from the universe, but they're actually from another universe called a multi-universe, and they come here and abducting people, which we can't stop or detect when it happens, and you can know it's going to go down like a lead weight.
Well, I mean, look at the reaction to coronavirus. To be honest, like, I'm still struggling to get a toilet roll. So imagine them telling the public something like that. I just don't think the public would be equipped to handle it. And I think if they did, it would also. You can't blame them, in a sense. I know we all want disclosure. We want them to tell us aliens are real, so we can all turn around to our mates and said, "I told you so." We'd love that, but would you want the full story if it's as bad as what you think?
Yeah,
because it might be something that's basically horrific, and do we want it? Do we need it? I think we've had enough on our plate recently without hearing any kind of news like that. And I think this could be. I mean, you've only got to go look at the Twining Memo from 1947, and you can see quite clearly there that they knew full well that UFOs were a reality in 1947.
I'd just like to point out you haven't got the out there hoodie on again.
Oh God, that's clean. Actually, I'll definitely do that for next week.
Naughty boy. Yeah. The only people that have bought merchandise from the shop is me and basically I've given it away. No one else has bought anything, for as I can understand. No, it's all been me that's buying from my shop, but that's all right. But I have to get to use guys sometime at some stage.
Yeah, no worries, man.
You gotta have the new hoodie with the stamp on the back that says you're part of the members, the Out There channel member. Well, crew member, I think it says. Anyway, that's pretty cool logo.
No, but honestly, Paul, going back to that, I just can't see disclosure happening, you know.
Nah.
Other than in a very nice, gently kind of manner, you know.
Yeah.
I think we've had that if people would open their eyes, and you know, but of course they don't, do they? They
they're
go
talking
to the
about
UFO.
yeah, they're talking about it being
UFOs.
hang on. They're talking about it being a soft disclosure. That means they leak out a wee bit at a time, and then maybe they'll come up with the abduction stuff eventually. You know, maybe that's what's going to happen.
Whoa, that would be a can of worms.
You reckon?
Hell yeah.
Releasing it?
Whoa, I think that would be one of the last things they'd disclose is abduction.
Well, that's what I'm saying. That's why it's called a soft disclosure. We first of all need to get that report that Tim saw. I think, you know, after that Mick West interview, you said that Mick's changed his tone. I reckon they must have had a private after the show finished, and he sent him some images. I bet you emailed him some images to look at, or videos.
Oh, yeah, the McMillan interview, yeah.
Yeah, I reckon he sent him something after the show, and it sort of changed Mick West's mind a wee bit. Because you said he was being interviewed by someone.
Yes, he was. I seen another interview with him quite recently. I can't remember now who it was with. I wish I did. I could give you the link.
Was it Eric?
But he was actually being quite apologetic about his past.
I got a feeling it was Erica Lucas. You said to me he was being interviewed on.
Yes, I think it was.
Eric Lucas, yeah.
Yeah, so check Erica Lucas's site out, and he's kind of gently apologising for the things that he said over the past. That he didn't mean any offence. It was just his stance, and
his personality.
He's kind of leaving it open now that there's something else maybe going on. But
maybe he's had an alien visitation finally, or a paranormal event happened that's changed his mind.
Well,
who knows? It's interesting though, if he has. And he's not likely the one to talk about it either. If he did have a alien visit, like the other Indian guy, what's his name? Deep, or whatever his name is.
Deep Prasad.
Yeah, that's him. The so-called PhD whiz kid.
Yeah. Does he work on quantum computing, isn't it?
Yeah. I've talked about quantum computers before. How they have to run the thing at least 12 times because it gives a different result each time. It doesn't always give you the best result, so you've got to run it each multiple times and then take the best answer, the majority of the best answer to be the correct one. Kind of strange, quantum computers. I don't think they really understand how it works themselves, to tell the truth, and that's the whole problem. But yeah, who knows? I think maybe we'll have quantum chips in our laptops eventually, which will do really fast calculations and do encryption, because it have to be it have to be used for encryptions, because once they get the quantum chip, it'll be able to bust all our encryptions open very easily. So they have to use it for encryption for the data streams and stuff. So yeah, once you get something like that, you got to progress to the next step in security, you know. It's very interesting, though. I'd be interested in what will happen in the next 100 years of technology if we last that long, if we don't blow ourselves up in the meantime on the planet here.
Oh, Jesus, yeah, the virus doesn't wipe us all out.
Well, the virus should kill about 800 million people, going by the stats, if they don't get a vaccine sorted out.
800 million? No, I don't think it'll get that far, you know.
800 million.
It'll get that far. Ken makes a good point here of remote viewing at 30%. I'll tell you what, Ken, that's a damn good success rate. If you were looking into a murder case and you were clutching at straws, hell yeah, I'd take that. That's worth a shot. It's got to be. But I don't know the stats myself personally.
I think I read a paper.
Yeah, and Susanna saying, yes, Rob, only a limited amount of people will be able to handle disclosure. I totally agree, Susanna.
I think,
Susan, I totally agree. I think we're the people that's more likely to be able to handle it, rather than the average guy on the street who's in complete denial.
Yeah.
Yeah, that would be troubling for the masses, or the sheeple, as they should call them.
Yeah. As for the remote viewers, I think what's happened is it's got diluted with trying to teach people to be remote viewers as well. And I think there's only like maybe one or two people that are really any good at remote viewing, and the rest of this dilute the percentage down, you see. I think that's the key there.
It's kind of like a clairvoyant. There hasn't been many good ones, has there? And most of them are just fraudulent con artists, and then it dilutes the whole thing, doesn't it? And it gives.
Well, considering most of them go on to create their own sort of business from it and to sell it and go and visit people and give their own personal readings, right? Because they live from it. It's not like they're doing a day job and then doing it on the side, right? For zero money, just to give people comfort. It never seems to work that way. It seems to be like their day job. It's a bit like ufologists, you know, the ones that are using it as like their day job are not really good ufologists at all. And we can think of lots of examples like that now. They start off maybe good, and then they deteriorate because they've got to keep the money flowing in.
Yeah. It's the trouble. But this is what I liked about the that first case tonight. And I think we covered that one quite well before with the few glitches, like that Stanford case in Kentucky. No money was made. That's a sterling case. You know, so many people have profited from their experiences. You know, I mean, it doesn't mean to say that case is bogus when someone's made some profit from it. I mean, if you look at the Calvin Park Hickson case, Pascagoula incident, I think that's an excellent case, and I really think those people were genuine. But when you look at it as a skeptic, you know, looking out, looking in, and you see the case, and then you think, there's a book, there's a documentary, this guy speaking at a conference. You can just reject it out of hand. Classic case of throwing the baby out with the bathwater, you know. But you can't blame people for doing that. It's understandable. I mean, if you look at that Pascagoula event, I mean, those aliens would just look ridiculous, impossible, but it seemed to have happened.
Yeah.
You look at Kelly, Hopkinsville.
The big-eared, red-eyed goblins, yeah. that fly through the sky. And bulletproof, of course, like Skinwalker.
Yeah, 1955 case. God, if I ever need any entertainment, feeling down, it's always worth looking up at little YouTube vid on that case, and you soon be laughing again. But you wouldn't have been laughing if you were there. Hell, that could not have been funny.
No. Yep. Now, what were the aliens trying to do, though? Abduct them all, or eat them, or who knows? If it's true,
I'm sure
of course.
If it's true, I don't think anyone's going to shoot their own house to pieces. If there wasn't an actual threat of some sort, you know. I honestly believe it's a genuine case. I mean,
a lot of
Hynek
experts will say it was like a mass hallucination, like they all drank the same soup or whatever.
Yeah.
That's what they reckon the Salem witch trials was all about. They reckon there was a fungus in wheat that made people hallucinate things and go crazy, which is possible. Well, I don't know.
Yeah, I've heard that explanation as well. 1692, the Salem witch trials. I took a deep dive into that years ago, you know, and it was quite interesting. But it was a bunch of kids. It was, and it ended really badly.
Yep.
Because these kids, the community, the religious community, took them in then, and believed they.
But they were spiteful, obviously.
But in the end, they were pointing their finger towards some high-level people, and some of those people got kind of burnt at the stake or hung, which is quite not a good situation.
Well, there's several ways they tortured them, wasn't it? They hang them on a lever with a rope over a river bridge, and they dunk them into the water and leave them longer in the water until they emit the witches. And if they don't, they keep dunking them until they're dead. So either way, they're going to die, either drowned or burnt at the stake.
It wasn't quite like that. If they floated, they were a witch, and they burned you. If you sank and you drowned, you weren't a witch. But it's a bit too late then, isn't it?
Well, I think all humans float on water.
Really depends.
Yeah. But then also the stones on the chest. You know, they keep putting stones on the chest until you confess, and if you don't confess, then you die because you can't breathe. You ain't gonna win either way. Crazy system.
It's not good, but that's humanity for you. And that when you look at that, and
religion, religion for you. I can't say that.
Well, no, I think it's just humanity in general, to be honest, and humanity's insecurities. I mean, I think that's what religion is basically an insecurity, isn't it? I think it was kind of a control method.
We're not going to get ads on this, but anyway,
we'll
see what happens.
That's gone now, but yeah.
Unsub. Crazy people out there, though.
Yeah, I mean, don't get me wrong, not for 1 minute. Like, I've got no problems at all with people
having religion,
looking up to a deity. You know, as long as it's not imposed on people and it doesn't start costing people's lives, then to me, it's not.
Unfortunately, it doesn't sort of work that way, though, does it?
No, unfortunately, it doesn't.
Unless you're a Buddha. I think the Buddha are probably the most peaceful ones out of all of them, isn't it? Buddhism and the might.
Yeah, I'm not really sure that's a religion at all. It's
a belief.
Yeah, isn't it? The reincarnation thing.
Yeah, out of all the religions, it's probably the one that sort of makes more sense to me out of all of them, actually.
Yeah, me too.
But yeah, the more we look into this, the more questions we got. It really is. I don't think we're ever going to get any answers, to tell the truth. It's just going to get more and more crazy. And
this is another thing about disclosure now. If the government has not got to the bottom of this, how can they possibly tell us? Eh? How can they possibly tell us about something they don't understand? Well, again, I have to conclude they can't, can they?
No.
It wouldn't be it wouldn't be a good move. Yeah, there's something going on. We've got aliens. They're abducting people. We kind of know that. They're visiting, but we don't know how they get here. They're 100 times more advanced than us, at least. And if they decide to get hostile, there's nothing we can do. Imagine Donald Trump putting that out in a statement. Oh my God. What a bombshell. What a effing bombshell that'd be. It just can't be done. It's gotta be drip drip. It has to be. There's no other way.
Yes.
Okay,
soft disclosure.
There's something in us, guys. There's something in us, guys, and we don't quite know what they are. But don't worry about it. We've got it covered. That's okay. Yeah, I think we could deal with that. To be honest, I think we've already had that. You know. Of course, there'll always be a pushback. I mean, the likes of Mick West and Seth and Neil deGrasse Tyson and all the others, Philip Glass down the years, and many others, they're always going to cling on to their narrative, aren't they? I mean, it's going to be so difficult for them to go back. I mean, you can see like Mick West recently taking a couple of little backward steps.
Yeah.
Carefully taking those little couple of backward steps. And he's a gentleman. I'll give him that.
Yeah.
Now, he's a skeptic, not a debunk. Well, he is a debunker as well, but how can I explain this? How can I explain it? Philip Glass was malevolent. He was an insidious, nasty little guy, devious person. Mick West is none of that. There's a big difference. Neil deGrasse Tyson, enjoyed I don't like his sneering there, and Seth, the way he demeans people. Can't stand him. But Philip Glass done people a great deal of harm.
Yeah, which you were going to cover at some stage, weren't you?
Oh, do you want me full of hate, Paul? My God.
You were going to cover, what's his name? I forget his name now.
Menzel.
No, the guy that went crazy and committed suicide, was it?
Suicide?
Was it suicide or did this go mental? What's the guy's name? That lifting in the Air Force Base. Hey?
James E. McDonald. James E. McDonald.
No.
Well, he was rolled up the wall by Philip Glass.
Oh, did he? No, I was thinking about the guy next to the Air Force Base would see sources and things, and Dotty talked about him too. Richard Dotty. What's his name?
Dotty. Are you not talking about Paul Benowitz, are you?
Yeah, I am. He went mental.
Okay.
Didn't he commit suicide?
Yeah. No. But it was Kirkland Air Force Base and the incidents that were happening around there. And
you need to cover that guy.
Hmm?
You need to cover that in the UFO case.
We could do that, yeah. As definitely.
It'll be a long one. It'll be a long one, probably, will it?
If we have to cover it in full, yes, it will. And I'll actually get in touch with Richard Dotty and ask him his opinion.
Okay.
I mean, he's on the friends list, so why the hell not ask his opinion?
Well, you haven't been blocked by everybody, like I have.
No. I get blocked by the odd one because I make bold statements, Paul. But
so do I.
It seems fair. It seems for every friend I lose, I gain at least 1.5 kind of thing. So it's kind of 2 steps forward and 1 and a bit back. So no big deal. But I can't sleep in bed at night, to be honest, if I don't say it how I think it is. You know, I might be talking shit. I don't know, because we're talking about a subject that at the end of the day, there's no UFO expert. That's an oxymoron. There's no such beast. We're all struggling to find an answer to very elusive kind of situation, you know?
Yeah.
So, yeah. If someone's got a bloody nose or thick lip on your way, then so be it. There's nothing you can do. And yeah, I've taken some stick off people. I mean, we've had some nasty comments and threats.
You didn't call them oxymorons by any chance, did you? Which you call Muppets. You Muppet.
No. Oxymoron, no brainer. It just a UFO expert. We're just playing an intelligent guessing game. That's the best way I can say it.
Yeah. Yeah, ufology's become about the channels and the infight and not actually the UFO topic anymore. And obviously putting up every UFO video under the sun, well, every video under the sun claim it's a UFO without proper follow-through analysis and information put on the videos, which we saw yesterday when I was looking at some. But they didn't even put up the case numbers. They say it's from MUFON, but not actually give the case number, which is kind of strange thing to do, isn't it? You always put the case number up.
Okay.
But yeah, I suppose we better wrap up and let people get on with their nights here.
Yeah. Same time next week.
Yeah, I probably won't be doing any midweek ones unless I really feel like doing something. Unless something else, some other drama happens and I want to talk about it, have my say on it or whatever. But there's plenty of going on.
There's always a drama around the corner, you know. It's another good thing with ufology since December 2017. Excuse me. Yeah, things are happening on quite a regular basis. You know, when I first really got tucked into this, as much as I have maybe 10, 15 years ago, I'm not quite sure now. There wasn't much happening. You know, ufology seemed to be quite stagnant. At least now, there's things happening. There's little revelations coming out all the time. The little pieces of a jigsaw puzzle. I think we're all desperately trying to put them together as best we can. Yeah, it is what it is, Paul. I don't know, man. I don't know.
Maybe we're all in the Matrix and we're all mad. Anyway.
Well, you know, I've heard this Matrix thing before. Oh, you've got me on a tangent now, haven't you? I've heard this Matrix thing before. We're all living in a kind of a simulation, and there's a glitch, and it's a glitch in the program. I don't buy that. You know, I just can't buy it because so many cases, like that Ota Air Force Base, where these things seem to be interacting with an aircraft or a car. Even going back to the first abduction case we looked at in Kentucky, there's an interaction there. Something's going on. No, I don't think it's a glitch in the software and all UFOs and all ghost sightings are a glitch in the software. No.
Well, you could look at it like the universe is actually a big quantum computer and Earth is one component and we're like subcomponents, and the aliens come here as engineers to fix the subcomponents, so they abduct people and try and fix them and put them back into the system. So you could make a sci-fi story about that all, being the Matrix. I tell you what, there's a lot more decent sci-fis and the whole ufology idea that Hollywood are missing out on, because they could create lots of great movies like this using these ideas and be less typical where they copy each other, where aliens come here and evil, but they're actually trying to fix the system to find the solution to a big problem. We're actually a quantum computer.
But do you know, talking of movies, that case that we covered in Kentucky, the abduction case, and gee, what a movie that would have made! What a book it would have made! I'm almost sad they didn't make a few quid out of it after what they'd gone through, you know.
We better wind down now. Better wind down. Let people go.
Should.
And enjoy the rest of your evening in USA. We must be coming up to work day again now that you're allowed out of lockdown. So yeah, please like and share it around, get more people coming our way. I get haters to watch the debunks. I had one post on not Discord, what's the other thing? BitChute. He watched 3 minutes of my debunk yesterday and said it was absolute garbage. And I said,
who said that?
I said on Discord, look at this guy here. Go and have a look, and yeah. I don't know who he was.
No, just another.
Yeah, I think I said. Yeah, another hater posting on there. Go and have a read. I think some people
ufology is full of Muppets. It's a Muppet show. Let's face it.
How can you judge a live stream by 3 minutes watching? I think he means maybe 6 minutes, but even so, that's still not like and share. Good night. Yeah, this
thanks,
is going to be.
Thanks. Thank you all. You're a great bunch, you really are.
I think some had to disappear. Maybe something else on TV at the moment, or something better to watch somewhere. Who knows?
Well, not everyone's willing to listen to 4 hours, Paul. So you have to understand that. And some people need to go to bed as well, especially like Sir Charles. He's in the UK. I mean, he may have work in the morning. It's like 1:10 a.m.
He watches half of it, I think.
Yeah. You'll probably catch up with the rest.
He will.
It's good guy. Oh, we've got a good following. All good people.
It's gradually growing. We'll get there. So yeah, as long as my computer just stop that 100% CPU all the time because it's annoying. But anyway, it does seem to have gone down a wee bit since I've closed that Microsoft browser. Unfortunately,
you worry too much about these technical problems, Paul. Just wait until it blows up.
That was like my old computer, mate. But anyway, we better end this now. Here we go. Ending.
Good night.
Good night, all. Yes, we'll keep on talking.
Okay.
We're salty haters, by the way. That was one of the comments as well. Or a couple of comments. Salty haters. We're truth seekers. Realists. Not suckered too easily. Now the Matrix is kicking in here, shutting down the studio. Hope you enjoyed the show. People like our after show chats, or after UFO case chats, it seems. We didn't get quite to 10 double figures watching today, unfortunately.
Yeah, we did get to double.
Did we? Oh, we got 10, did we? Yeah, not quite more though.
Sure, to be honest, it's a shame, but it seems that a lot of people stayed. That's, your view time is the most important thing, Paul.
Mm.
But of course, the more people we have looking in, the better. It's a shame that we've only got like a handful of people to entertain. When it'd be really nice if we had 100 hardcore.
Yeah, it'd get more fun.
But hell, I'm not giving up, Paul.